away and missed. And Pittsburgh cleans off the board as Carlton Everson brings the ball down. Everson will be on the back line with point guard Dwayne Wallace, number 30. The Panthers are 19-11 for the year and won their first-round game, an upset, on Thursday night against Idaho. Of course, North Carolina drew the bye, and the Tar Heels are in action for the first time this afternoon. So we're underway as Pittsburgh grabs the lead with Carlton Neverson.
Carl Neverson hitting the first hoop against the bread-and-butter defense of the North Carolina Tar Heels. They're man-to-man, but they showed a lot of poise and patience on their first possession, Merrill.
All right, Tar Heels to the other end of the floor with a record of 25-7 for the year, 10-4 in the ACC. They won the postseason tournament, and almost a steal by Lenny McMillan, who's out of McRae, Georgia.
Right now, the Pitt Panthers dropping into a 2-3 zone defense. They're a little obviously afraid of the talent of the front line of the North Carolina Tar Heels, but this ball club comes up with a lot of steals, which turns into easy baskets for them.
Jimmy Black, number 21, out of the Bronx. A junior at 6'2". Tar Heels, a veteran team in postseason competition. More about that a little later as Perkins got nailed. Worthy in there, and we've got a foul called on number 4, Lenny McMillan.
By the way, the defense collapsing in on Sam Perkins, or I should say James Worthy. They'll also be in there on James Perkins. And, of course, Pitt, a very physical ball club, too. They're going to whack away in the early going just to see how much they can get away with now.
The Tar Heels, coached by Dean Smith, a perennial postseason tournament participant, either in the NCAA or the NIT. That's Wood from the outside. Big Al trying to tie the game, and the rebound is ripped away by Sam Clancy, the all-time top rebounder for the Panthers.
Kind of an impressive first rebound for Sam DeBam, who averages 11 rebounds a game.
He talked about him being a tight end on that Pitt football team. He can handle it. Almost a steal, but not quite, by Al Wood. Retained by Pittsburgh. 2-0 Panthers, early going. One of the things, Matt Gukas, that North Carolina wanted to do as the shot is taken by Neverson and Pepper clears the board. The Tar Heels wanted to try to get the jump to try to make Pittsburgh play their game because they were anticipating Pittsburgh would try to slow it down.
There's another steal for the Panthers.
An easy layup for Neverson. He's got all 4 points. Well, we've had a lot of bye teams go down the drain in the NCAA tournament so far this year. Could North Carolina be an upset victim of Pittsburgh?
Well, 4 of them yesterday and 2 already today. Obviously, that's not the place to be in this tournament.
Don't be a bye team. Foul call, a charging foul on Al Wood. That is his first and the first team foul against North Carolina.
Dr. Roy Chipman, the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, telling us before the game that if his club can stay in the ballgame with North Carolina, they think they'll be all right if they get over this initial rush. Of course, they played the other night, so they have that big win under their belt. North Carolina a week off since winning the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament.
And this man with the ball right here, Dwayne Wallace, is the man who won it for Pittsburgh with a last-second shot to dump Iowa. And the shot partially blocked, taken away, and almost stolen. It is stolen by Neverson. Look at this kid play. Feed to Clancy at the lane traveling.
Tar Heels, an outstanding ball-handling club, and again, the quickness of the Pitt Panther defense anticipating that outlet pass. And Neverson, who goes hot and cold for the Pitt Panthers. That's the one player in their starting lineup that they worry a little bit about. Paul Brozovic, who kind of just starts the game, whacks away inside, and they bring in somebody else for him.
Pittsburgh dropping back in the zone again. Pepper down into the left corner, finding Al Wood, and again a takeaway. That's Clancy. Pittsburgh coming into this tournament, nobody thought too much about the Panthers being a factor, but they have definitely been a factor, and they started to put it together back in about January. Wide open, Brozovic.
Penetration by the point guard, Dwayne Wallace, and he has really come on since the beginning, or the early part of their season. They got off to a 9-9 start to the Pitt Panthers. Now they've won 10 out of their last 12.
Carolina still with a 0 on the scoreboard. Black. Pepper. Will Black take the shot? No, it will be Sam Perkins, and we have a foul call.
2-3 zone defense of the Pitt Panthers really packing it inside, and the Tar Heels have to be patient before they can get the ball inside and try to work something into either James Worthy or Sam Perkins.
Foul was on Brozovic, his first. Again, the Panthers, the opportunists, in there taking the ball away. Wallace. And goaltending. Wallace will get the basket.
Again, penetration by Wallace took it right to the hoop as he weaved his way down the lane, and James Worthy interfering with the ball up on the top of the rim.
There it is. So it is 8-0. Pittsburgh over North Carolina, the 6th-ranked team in the nation, and the 2nd-seeded team in the Western Regional. Blocked, and he is fouled on Everson. You know, this is one of the things that Dr. Roy Chipman was concerned about, since Pittsburgh is a physical team. Any hand checking or anything like that, drawing the foul. He was talking about that last night.
And they come from the Eastern 8 area of the country where they play very physical hand-checking basketball.
North Carolina averaging over 75 points a game, almost 80 for the last 14 or 15 years. This year has averaged 72.3. 8-0, that's it. And Carolina's blocked. Welcome to the Special Events Center in El Paso, Texas, where North Carolina is 6th ranked in the country, taking on the Pittsburgh Panthers. North Carolina finally on the scoreboard for the first time. I'm Merle Harmon with Matt Gukas, and we possibly have another upset in the making, although it's much, much too early to think about that. But when we talked to the Pittsburgh Panthers last night, they definitely feel they can handle North Carolina. And Matt, they said if we didn't feel that way, we shouldn't be here.
And they got off to a hot start, especially with their defense. They already have 4 steals in the ballgame, and it took the Carolina Tar Heels 5 minutes to score.
Neverson on the miss, and the Tar Heels look at Jimmy Block handle the ball, and he is fouled by number 4, Lenny McMillan. So that is McMillan's second, the 4th team foul against the Pittsburgh Panthers, who came into this tournament with a record of 19-11, having come in here as a result of winning the Eastern 8, a very tough league, and North Carolina, of course, winning the ACC postseason tournament, a perennial tournament representative. Pittsburgh has used his own, and they used it effectively against Idaho Thursday night to win that game at the last second to get into this one. Perkins on the board now. Big Sam Perkins, the freshman from Latham, New York. He was the all-tourney MVP in the ACC recently. So it is now 8-4 Pittsburgh over North Carolina. Clancy working for the basket. It won't go. The tip try is missed by Neverson, and the ball is out of bounds to Pittsburgh. And coming into the game, Matt Doherty, number 44, a freshman from East Meadow, New York, for the North Carolina Tar Heels. And we have a timeout in El Paso. And with the timeout so far in our tournament this year.
And Merrill, this could be a snowballing effect. I'm sure the Carolina players have watched television and read the papers. They know what's going on, but they really can't let that cloud their mind right now.
5 teams have lost, including the nation's number 1 and number 2 ranked teams, DePaul and Oregon State.
Tar Heels out now at the half-court trap in a 2-3 zone. The first time they've showed that to Pitt. Normally they've been playing their man-to-man defense.
Back Dean Smith said last night, it's really a rarity when we play a zone, as Brozovic shot partially blocked. Here comes Carolina on the run with Jimmy Black wheeling it. And he has got Worthy. Missed it over the rim. Right back, however, to Matt Doherty, who just came into the game at the timeout. Block turns the shot down. Pittsburgh zone here is Worthy battling into the board. Ball is knocked out of his hands and out of bounds. But a nice play by Sam Clancy, who is extremely active.
And a good pass inside by Jimmy Black. Coming out of that timeout, the Tar Heels look much more relaxed.
North Carolina at the timeout, 2 out of 5 from the field. Pittsburgh 4 for 8. Block. Al Wood. Basket goes down. Perkins pushing off. Do we get a basket? The basket is good. The foul is on Wood.
41 on the Tar Heels. Sam Perkins, his first, second team foul.
We have a score early in the first half. It's Charlotte, North Carolina, the Virginia Cavaliers 12, and the Villanova Wildcats 9. Another seeded team in a close ball game. Of course, it's early.
Pittsburgh 8, Carolina 6. We have 13 minutes, 8 seconds left to go in the first half. Merle Herman and Matt Gukas with you in El Paso, Texas. Wallace forced it, and he got it. Dwayne Wallace Davis averaging 11.8 points per ball game, and here's the #1 fan of the Pittsburgh Panthers. That's Tiger Paul Auslander, who rode a bus for 43 hours to get here for this tournament. 10-6. Carolina down by 4. Shot turned down, but taken now by Al Wood. A miss, and look at Pittsburgh hit the boards, and ripping it out of there is Lenny McMillan, the 6'5 senior from McRae, Georgia. Take away by Carolina, 3-on-2. Jimmy Black baseline, and the ball partially deflected. I believe Worthy might have stepped across the line, or he might have been pushed across the line and fouled by number 15, Sam Clancy.
I'm not sure if that foul's on Clancy or number 4, Lenny McMillan, but they do a lot of reaching and grabbing, do the Pitt Panthers. And, of course, that's how they come up with most of their steals, but they really cannot afford to get into foul trouble. They do not have the depth, talent-wise, that the North Carolina Ball Club has.
The foul, indeed, was on McMillan. That's his 3rd, and we have 12-17 to go in the first half.
And they're going to change basketballs. I'm sure Dean Smith and Laydell Anderson from the NCAA. That's Dr. Roy Chipman, the coach of the Pitt Panthers. Is Dean Smith right now trying to figure out why Al Wood is missing those wide open jump shots. It has to be something wrong with the ball. In fact, the people in North Carolina say that's the only thing that Dean Smith did not invent.
The officials for today's game: Jack Savage of the Missouri Valley Conference, Larry Lemus of the ECAC, and Chris Yaka of the Ohio Valley. So it's Charles Baca, not Yaka. All right, we're checking the balls out, and Dean Smith, who played basketball at the University of Kansas for Fog Allen, went to Carolina's assistant to Frank McGuire, took over for McGuire, and in 20 years has coached 432 wins against 142 losses. That's Bill Guthridge's assistant. And they are a little bit concerned about, is the ball bouncing properly? Dr. Roy Chipman, in his first year at Pittsburgh, has brought this Panther team into this tournament when nobody was expecting the Panthers to really do anything this year, but he has put together a very fine ball club.
Yes, he has, taking over for Tim Gagurich. Referee Larry Limbo right now has a new ball in one hand and a little roughed up older ball in the other, and that's the one the players prefer to play with, but yet the old ball was put out and they're going to play with a new one. Well, when you have a new ball, it's a little bit more slippery, a little bit more difficult to get a grip on it as far as the shooters are concerned, and actually tougher to dribble.
Those guys' hands are so big they shouldn't have any trouble with any ball. Just grab.
I think a little gamesmanship going on by Coach Dean Smith, trying to turn the momentum around a little bit.
Perkins, and he is fouled. Number 42 draws the foul. Clyde Vaughn, who came into the ball game. Or do we have it on 50, Brozovic?
Well, that's Brozovic's job in there to bang on the freshman, Sam Perkins from Latham, New York, who actually got his chance to play a lot of minutes because Pete Butko was the starting center in the beginning of the season, went down with a serious ankle injury, played a couple of ball games in the ACC tourney, but young Sam Perkins getting some early experience for Dean Smith, and one of the reasons why they've gone as far as they have.
It is now 10-7, and Perkins, the MVP of the tourney, give a kid a chance to play. He aims to get a job, and Perkins nailed it down. He is 6'9". Now it's 10-8. Carolina down by 2, and Carolina pressuring. Brozovic turns it over to Dwayne Wallace, and a takeaway by the aggressive Tar Heels. Al Wood fed to the baseline to Worthy, and we've got a foul.
That's where James Worthy operates best, down low on the baseline, and he gets a good quick pass from Jimmy Black after the Tar Heels go into their trapping defense. 2-2-1 in the quick hands of Al Wood. Gets it to Jimmy Black in the middle, who has really come on as a point guard for Dean Smith. They're a little bit worried about him in the beginning of the year. In fact, a big recruiting year coming up for North Carolina. 3 of the 4 players that they have committed already are backcourt players, but Dean Smith could not be happier with Jimmy Black. He's the man who set up this man. James Worthy on the free throw line right now has a major league body.
James Worthy with a 64% free throw average. 1 out of 2. And we understand that our We're having a bit of a problem with the graphics today, but our fine NBC engineers and technicians are working on it. It'll be cleared up shortly, I'm sure, as Wallace zips it right down the middle. But a foul is stopping the play before he can get to the bucket. He is picked off on the way in by Al Wood, number 30. And that is his third. And we have 3 players in this game already carrying 3 fouls. Lenny McMillan and Paul Brozovic of Pittsburgh. Brozovic, by the way, went out of the ball game. Ed Sharman has come in to replace him.
Open floor opportunity for Dwayne Wallace, where he is really dangerous, and he gets by Al Wood, who has to reach in and grab.
And Pittsburgh has now hit the 17 foul mark, and now an offensive foul against Dwayne Wallace. That's his first.
After the next personal by Pitt, North Carolina will be shooting 1-1.
Here we go. North Carolina trailing 10-9 here in El Paso. Mike Pepper, senior from Vienna, Georgia. Cross courts it all the way across to Al Wood, and Wood is fouled by number 42, Clyde Vaughn of Pittsburgh. So the Panthers are rolling up a lot of fouls in this game, and that's something that Coach Roy Chipman was concerned about last night. They've got to be physical to handle a team like North Carolina, and yet it can be costly. Al Wood on the line.
It's one of the reasons why Pitt stayed out of their 1-3-1 trapping zone defense, which was their favorite defense. They were afraid of the reaching and the grabbing and the early personal fouls. They just can't afford it.
Al Wood, the leading scorer for the Tar Heels with a 17.5 average. He's been kind of the leader of this club, taking over from, well, the guy yesteryear, not too many years ago, just a few years, in fact, Bill Ford, but he's that kind of a ball player. We are now 11-10, North Carolina leading for the first time in the game. Dwayne Wallace out of the key, short, and ripped off of there by Al Wood. Almost backcourt, but not quite.
First lead in the ball game for North Carolina, 11-10 right now, as they're starting to get in rhythm.
Worthy working the baseline. Foul on Pittsburgh. This foul is on Iverson. That'll be his second. So the Panthers are really rocking up the fouls, and I'll call a timeout as Roy Chipman wants to talk things over and see what they can do. We have 11 minutes, 7 seconds to go in the first half. University of North Carolina 11, Pittsburgh 10. And we now return to our studios for these messages.
Beating Maryland in the final by 1 point, and also knocking off Wake Forest in the semifinal by 1. Big James Worthy, who's playing with 2 pins in his right ankle, which will come out this summer. Well, there was a lot of question marks in the early part of the season for Dean Smith, the availability of James Worthy, and also Jimmy Black, who had a very serious neck injury, and also the inexperience of the Tar Heels, but they've come out of it nicely.
Pittsburgh, 5 out of 10 from the field. UNC, 3 out of 8, 37%. And jump ball. Matt, as you know, today we're going to be picking a player to receive the most valuable player in the game on the scholarship award, so we'll be keeping our eyes open throughout the contest.
A 5-second violation by Dwayne Wallace. Good defense by Jimmy Black, as Wallace did not penetrate the hash mark, and they'll jump it up at midcourt. Ooh.
Carolina control. He can get up there, can't he?
Quickly. Now the Pitt Panthers going into their 1-3-1 trap.
All kinds of defenses by the Panthers. And a foul is called on Mike Pepper. That's his first. And the 4th team foul against Carolina.
Mike Pepper, his first.
The 1-3-1 trap, the bread and better defense for Dr. Roy Chipman, and they stayed out of it worrying about foul problems. They got into them anyway, and they might as well let it all hang out. They're not expected to knock off Carolina.
How about this score? Virginia 1 point over Villanova. In action at Charlotte, North Carolina, we've had 2 big upsets already today. 6 of the bye teams, some of the top-ranked teams in the nation, including number 1 and number 2, are out of it now. Clancy going for the basket. He is fouled by Worthy.
Ooh. 2 heavyweights going at it right in the middle of the lane. Sam Clancy at 6'6", 235 pounds. In the Pitt program, they list him at 6'7". James Worthy, around 6'9", 225, and they collide in the lane. Loose ball foul. They're saying that Clancy was not in the act of shooting, and the crowd here at Texas El Paso doesn't agree with that one.
All right, Pittsburgh Down by 2, and a whistle stopping play, and we've got number 30 of North Carolina, Al Wood, pushing up, and that is his 3rd personal foul. Again, we will have Matt Doherty coming into the lineup, going to the bench. Al Wood. You know, you ask a coach if there's a player on the floor he can't afford to lose, and there's always one, and for Carolina, I guess it would be Al Wood.
And both the grimace on the faces of Al Wood and Dean Smith after a poor percentage shot by Dwayne Wallace deep in that right corner.
Clancy getting it out to Neverson. Carlton Neverson, with a 14.4 scoring average for the year, has 6 for the Panthers, and the game is tied at 12. We're in El Paso at the University of Texas, El Paso. Beautiful arena here. A special event center. Capacity 12 to 13,000. Doherty almost lost the ball. Ed Sherman in the game. Perkins trying to go down the lane, and an offensive foul, a charge against Perkins.
The Panthers back in their 2-3 zone defense, and it's a very active one. They slide very well. They clog the middle in there, and you see it again. The Tar Heels patient with the ball inside to Sam Perkins, but then in his anxiety charges.
You know, Matt Gukas, we've talked about the problems that some of the bye teams have had, and Dean Smith was concerned about his team having to sit here for 2 days waiting to play this afternoon. He said he would like to eventually see the tournament go to 64 teams, so there would be no buys as Clancy rams it home for his first bucket of the afternoon. It looks like Carolina might be a little sluggish.
They do, but of course they felt they needed the rest due to some injury problems with Sam Perkins. Actually, his was a sinus infection, and also Al Wood still having that sore right finger.
Alley-oop, Braddock in the ball game. 18-footer on the way and a miss. And look at Pittsburgh crash the boards. And the foul is called on Carolina. Jim Braddock.
That'll be the 17th foul as Sam Perkins. Or they're going to say, I'm sorry, Doherty jumping over the top.
So Doherty picks up his first foul. And to the other end of the floor, Ed Sherman, senior from Pittsburgh, has lettered 3 years, 53% free throw shooter. Big guy, 6'11". 1-1. Carolina, James Worthy. Tar Heels trailed by 2. Braddock, Pepper.
1-3-1 trap again by Pitt. And they really extended far out on the wings, probably farther than any other team who plays that particular defense. And now Doherty loses.
And Pittsburgh comes out of there with it. Dwayne Wallace, the point guard for Baltimore, and the quarterback of this team. The guy that came up with an unbelievable shot with about 2 seconds left to play to beat Idaho Thursday night. Ball away by Vaughn. So Clyde Vaughn gives the Panthers a 4-point lead. We have 8 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the first half at El Paso.
We'll have to keep our eye on Mr. Vaughn. One of the coaches for Pitt told me he is the best outside shooter in the tournament. Forget Al Wood. We'll have to watch it closely.
That would make him a very good one. Doherty out of the key for Carolina. Matt, the 6'7" freshman from East Meadow, New York, cuts the lead to 2. Pittsburgh on top, 16-14. Double team. Foul is called on Braddock. 7 minutes, 47 seconds left to go in the first half. Jimmy Black getting ready to come back into the ball game for Carolina. Checking in for Pittsburgh will be Steve Beatty, number 40, a 6'9" freshman from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. And here comes Butko into the lineup. Pete Butko, number 34, a senior from Lutherville, Maryland, coming in for Carolina. There he is. The man we talked about earlier being a starting center. And Virginia, 1-point lead over Villanova at Charlotte. Possible upset there.
What is this tournament coming to? Vaughn makes the first one. He does not have particularly impressive shooting statistics. 45% from the field, 58% from the line.
Clyde Vaughn, a freshman from Mount Vernon, New York. 4 points for Vaughn, 18-14 Pitt, 7:47 to go in the first half. North Carolina, ranked 6th in the nation, seeded 2nd in the West Regional.
See, Dwayne Wallace playing the baseline on that 1-3-1 defense, mainly because of his quickness and can get out of the corners quickly.
Worthy jams it home. That's 4 for Big Jim. The 6'7" senior from 6'9" sophomore, beg your pardon, from Gastonia. He doesn't act like he had a broken ankle with 2 pins in it, does he? 2-point lead for the Panthers. Vaughn open. Good defensive play, but a foul on Worthy. Looked like Worthy might be able to knock that ball away cleanly, but the hand got in there, and the foul is on Worthy, a second.
Wallace looked backdoor, pulled the trigger back, and then tried it again and made a good pass in there, and Vaughn, almost forced to take it to the hoop, draws a personal foul on James Worthy, his second.
Got a little bit of the arm. Second shot in play. 18-16. Pittsburgh, 7:11 to play in the first half. That's 5 points for Vaughn. Clyde coming off the bench, doing a fine job for the Panthers. Braddock. Pete Butko, 34 in the ball game.
That cross-court pass is a dangerous one against this kind of defense because the wing defensive men are spread out so far.
Baseline. Worthy. Basket. Good.
I said Worthy had a major league body. That's a major league move on the baseline. And there's just a lot of talent as he knifes between the 2 defenders.
The foul was on Steve Beatty of Pittsburgh. Now Carolina sends Perkins back into the game. Sam Perkins, the freshman 6'9" center, along with Mike Pepper, number 11, on the back line, the senior from the end of Georgia. Worthy was 6. 19-18. Pittsburgh, a little more than 6.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Man-to-man defense by North Carolina now. They've shown them about 5 defenses already.
Clancy went up over the back. So Sam gets the foul. All right, Villanova over Virginia at the half by 3.
Merle, it's tough to figure all these what appear to be upsets. The experts picking all these other teams, and of course these teams are seeded, but I think it just points out the fact that there are so many good basketball teams around the country. The talent is just all over the place.
1-1 for Jimmy Black. You know, Matt, what you're saying is so true. And in fact, Roy Chipman, the coach of Pittsburgh, he kind of resented the fact they were called underdogs the other night against Idaho. He said, hey, we've got a good basketball team. And I think Jim Calhoun of Northeastern, one of the potential Cinderella teams in NCAA action this year, kind of feels the same way.
They know how hard it is to win ball games in their conference.
Carolina winning, or rather Carolina leading for the second time here in the first half in 2019, 6:10 to go.
Villanova 27, Virginia 24.
They just announced the score here of Villanova, Virginia. All this crowd has been doing every time the public address announcer, Paul Strelzin, says, here's the score. Everybody gets ready to ooh and ah. Carlton Neverson trying to hit Vaughn under the bucket. The ball deflected and knocked away. And now we'll have coming into the ball game for Pittsburgh is Gissendanner. And going to the bench for a little rest is Carlton Neverson. Gissendanner is a junior from Clairton, Pennsylvania. The junior. Steal. Block. Good feed to Pepper.
Worthy started it with the steal, and Jimmy Black made the perfect 2-on-1 play as he made the defensive man commit himself.
Carolina's biggest lead of the afternoon, 22-19. Vaughn trying to crash the baseline. Here comes Worthy, 3-on-1. Ball deflected, but Doherty is right there, and he got it. The ball was deflected right into Doherty's hands as he was coming down the right lane. And now Pittsburgh wants a timeout as the Tar Heels finally get the act put together, leading 24-19, 5:29 to go in the first half, and we'll be back right after this.
as the coach wants it done. They want to be the coach out on the floor, but they also have to score some points or at least be offensive-minded.
There's a 3-on-1 fast break to turn a 4-on-none with an assist from Pittsburgh. Number 44, Ed Sherman, back in the ball game. Sherman is a 6'11 senior from Pittsburgh. Gissendanner coming off the bench. Oh, Sherman, no basket, traveling down the lane. And the turnover will give the ball to the Tar Heels. 24-19, North Carolina. We have 5 minutes left to play in the first half here at the Special Events Center at the University of Texas, El Paso. I'm Merle Harmon with Matt Gukas. Delighted to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Clancy knocks the ball out of bounds. It'll stay with Carolina, and Mike Pepper will inbound it. North Carolina 8 for 14 now from the field, 57%. Pittsburgh 8 for 17, 47%.
Carolina offense right now really spreading it out against the 1-3-1 defense of Pittsburgh.
Pepper, Doherty working, trying to get underneath. He does to Worthy, who is fouled. He gets nailed by Sam Clancy.
Nice pass inside by Doherty, who was thinking shot first. Since the beginning of the ballgame, when the Tar Heels looked a little bit ragged, their in-tight passing has been sharp, and that is a good evident for this. Doherty finds James Worthy, who really roams that baseline beautifully.
Worthy for 2. He has 6 points. Free throw average 64%. Sophomore from Gastonia, North Carolina. 14.4 scoring average for the year for the Tar Heels.
North Carolina used to have what they called their blue team, which used to play these minutes, but ever since a loss at home to Wake Forest, Dean Smith has kind of put that one in the hopper.
Like the Chinese Bandits went their way several years ago. 26-19, North Carolina. Wallace ripped away by Worthy of Carolina. Worthy and the foul. Foul is logged on number 30, Dwayne Wallace. That's be his second. Wake Forest out into a quick lead against Boston College.
Winner of that ball game will play St. Joseph's, who knocked off DePaul. There you see Kansas over Arizona State by a point in the early minutes.
And Worthy for a 1-and-1.
The Panthers are paying the price right now with their point guard Wallace on the baseline because the Tar Heels are attacking it correctly, and the Pitt Panthers, the rest of the defense, is not making their adjustments quick enough to cover that area.
Carolina and the man. They've used his zone, and let's see what they're going to set up now. We have 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the first half. Turnaround jumper by Vaughn. And we get a foul logged on Ed Sherman, number 44.
Perkins with good position for this rebound, and Sherman just trying to get a piece of it and actually reaches over the top of the back and will pick up the personal foul. And the long walk to the opposite end as the Carolina club meets at the foul line to discuss their next defense.
It took Carolina almost 9 minutes to get into the lead in this game as Pittsburgh ran off an 8-0 lead at the beginning. Now the Tar Heels are starting to move, and Perkins on the line. 6 points, couple of field goals, and 2 free throws. He's 1-and-1 right now.
Well, they say what's important in this tournament is to be on an upbeat when you get into these early rounds, and the Carolina Tar Heels are definitely there, winning those 2 close ball games to win the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Now, Perkins is an amazing player. He didn't play basketball until his last 2 years of high school.
Amazing, a look of poise and confidence on the young freshman's face.
Now, when you were a freshman, Matt, you had that kind of poise and confidence.
I can't even remember back then.
Carolina by 9 right now. 3 minutes, 34 seconds left. Uh-oh. A no-no foul committed by Carolina's number 44, Matt Doherty.
And Neverson and Doherty with a little byplay after the fouls. Carolina again showing a little different defense on their trap in the backcourt. That looked like a 3-1-1. I've counted 5 defenses already by North Carolina. And what happens with their opponents is they start thinking about all the different defenses and trying to attack them differently, and you really can't do that. You get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Darrell Gissendaner missing the free throw. Tar Heels have the rebound. That's Pepper in the corner down the baseline, trying to lay it back to Perkins. Look at that save, however, by Worthy. What a recovery. Clancy rebounding this one for Pittsburgh, and we'll go the other way as they put a little action into the ball. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go in the first half. Pittsburgh down by 9. Oh, steal by Worthy. Block. Saved it in the corner. Worthy probably should have gone on with that one. Clancy handling the ball on the sideline, knocked away.
Worthy with quick reactions. We saw him come up with a save before. Now we watch him come up with a steal and take it almost coast to coast. I think the reason he pulls up here, Merle, is he does not want to pick up that third personal foul, and I think he was thinking that he might charge on that particular play. What's he going to be like when he gets the pins out of the ankle?
How about this one? Kansas 2 over Arizona State, that is. The Sun Devils. Pepper. That shot was not blocked. It was passed off to Worthy. It looked like Sherman was going to knock it away, and Pepper pops it in from the outside. Mike Pepper, who hit the winning bucket against Wake Forest in the ACC tourney, puts Carolina up by 11. 2:20 to go in the first half here in El Paso. Worthy said, I didn't mean to do that. But he's got number 3 anyway. So Butko comes in. Pete from Lutherville, Maryland, a 6'9" senior.
It's been a long drought for the Pitt Panthers scoring-wise, as they rattled off 8 quick points to go up 8-zip, and now they've been outscored 30-11. And the Panthers have had their problems from the free throw line. In fact, they had the Maryland Terrapins beaten in Pittsburgh, and then missed 6 one-on-ones coming down the stretch and lost that ball game in overtime. And of course, that's a common opponent with the North Carolina Tar Heels, and they defeated them 3 times.
Darrell Gissendaner for his second shot. He's got them both. Now we will have number 30, Dwayne Wallace, coming back into the ball game. The junior from Baltimore, Maryland. He's the guy that really took charge of the Pittsburgh offense back in January, 1st February. And the Panthers started to roll.
Butko in the ballgame right now is the starting center this year. He's replaced James Worthy, and I don't think Dean Smith wants to see Worthy get his 3rd personal foul the way he's been playing.
Two minutes left in the first half here in El Paso. North Carolina 30, Pittsburgh 21. The winner of this game goes on to Salt Lake City. Pepper turned the shot down. Butko wheels it to the other side to Jimmy Black. Minute 42 to go in the first half. They keep looking for that man. There he is. Perkins getting his own rebound. Perkins averaging almost 8 boards a game.
But Doherty has made some beautiful passes on the baseline. Carolina in no hurry right now.
Perkins again, heavy traffic. Ball will go for him. Here come the Panthers. Pittsburgh's ball knocked away by Doherty. A minute 12 to go in the first half now here in El Paso. Clancy out of the corner. That's 6 points for Sam Van Clancy.
He averages 16 points a ball game, and he doesn't take too many of those from about 18 feet away. He does most of his damage inside, where he is a bull.
Carolina may go for the one. 54 seconds left. They have a 7-point lead. Doherty, shot blocked. Butko picks it off of the baseline. They come to the outside to Black. Oh, those Panthers are scratching and clawing all the time. Trying to work that ball back to the baseline. There's Perkins. His third field goal. He has 10 points in the game. 33, 32, 23, 24 seconds to go in the first half. The land of the Giants.
You can hear the defensive signals from the bench. Jam it inside, and you see the tight defense of Carolina.
Pushing off on Sherman. Ed Sherman getting a foul. His second.
I think Dean Smith and his ball club content to see Pitt take that outside shot all night long. They're not known for their outside shooting. If they do not get a lot of baskets from steals and get the easy layup and high percentage shots, they have a tough time. And then just not shooting the ball well from the outside, although we saw Sam Clancy fire one on, from deep in the left corner.
Sherman to the bench, replaced by Steve Beatty. And Chris Brust is going to be in there momentarily, probably for Sam Perkins for Carolina, which has a 32-23 lead. And another one, 12 seconds to play. Eric Kenny, a senior from Asheville, North Carolina, has come in now. Doherty goes to the bench for the Tar Heels.
He gave them a big lift as Al Wood picked up his third personal foul. Doherty did most of his work with his passing.
12 seconds to go in the first half. Now Brust is coming in. Chris, a junior from Babylon, New York, and Perkins to the bench. 34-23 Carolina.
Again, the tight 2-3 zone of North Carolina. They'll give up the outside shot, nothing inside.
Clancy takes it from the outside. And the first stop comes to an end. So at halftime, North Carolina, having a sluggish time getting started, comes back to take a 34-23 halftime lead over the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Poor shooting by Pittsburgh so far, and individually Al Wood and James Worthy both have 3 personal fouls, and they're starting the second half.
And Lenny McMillan and Paul Brozovic of Pittsburgh have 3 as the steal attempt by Neverson is recovered by Carolina. Worthy, and it's taken away by Sam Clancy. So the Panthers, who trail 34-23 or 23-34, take your choice. Clancy working and missing the layup. Al Wood back of the lineup for the second half, takes over for Carolina. Jimmy Black. Worthy at the baseline. Pittsburgh the zone. They play it all the way. And Perkins has the ball taken away by McMillan, but that long pass down the court, not a very good one, is picked off by Pepper of Carolina.
Threw that about 60 feet in the air, and it was the slowest pass I've ever seen, and all 5 North Carolina players could have ran under that one.
Threw him a knuckleball. Wood down the baseline. Now he's got Worthy. That's 10 points for James Worthy.
The 1-3-1 zone defense of Pitt, and they get burned on it. A nice move by Al Wood as he sidestepped the defender and then just shoveled to the very agile Sam Perkins. It's a very agile front line.
The Carolina Tar Heels 36-23 over Pittsburgh. Sam Clancy muscled it up there. 6 points for Clancy.
They may go into their captain and leader Sam Clancy to try to draw some fouls on Al Wood or James Worthy. That's 2 times he's barreled into the basket.
Mike Pepper goes down to Wood in the corner. Ball deflected. Here come the Panthers. McMillan couldn't pick it up, and Carolina does. Jimmy Black to Worthy. Again a deflection. Now they go into Perkins. Ball knocked away by Clancy. A beauty and a feed down court to Neverson. Carlton Neverson with 8 points. 36-27, North Carolina.
Clancy does not look like he would be able to jump that quickly and that high, but he showed us that time on the block shot, and McMillan now has 1 for 3 on completed passes. He laid out a beauty there for the breakaway.
It's been kind of an alley-oop tournament. Some of these zone defenses we have seen. Carolina's been the only team, I believe, that's run a man-to-man, except in very rare instances in the Thursday night action and what we've seen today.
And the best defense for Carolina today has been their 2-3 zone.
How about that soft touch by Sam Perkins?
Got a beautiful outside touch, a nice inside player. He's got a nice little soft half hook rolling across the lane. We really haven't seen too much of that today.
An 11-point lead for Carolina. Well, look what Carolina's doing. Show a little zone.
Would like to probably stay in zone so this ball game is decided with people in foul trouble.
Neverson from the outside, and Clancy can't handle the board this time against James Worthy. So Jimmy Black takes over and runs the offense for Carolina. Perkins charging foul. And that's his second and the first of this half. 16:43 to go in the game. North Carolina 38-27 out of Bryant Gumbel. And thanks for the update. Tell you, a lot of crazy things are happening today, aren't they? Bryant's right there in New York to handle it all for you as Wallace pops to the outside. That's 6 points for Wallace. And Tiger Paul, who is the unofficial cheerleader and kind of mascot, I guess, for Pittsburgh, trying to spur the Panthers on.
That last personal foul was the third one on the offensive foul was the third on Sam Perkins. So the whole front line of North Carolina, the starters that is, with 3 each.
There's Perkins, and Perkins is fouled this time by number 24, Carlton Neverson. And that'll be his third. So Neverson, the senior from New York City's Power Memorial High School, who's a walk-on for Pittsburgh, commits the foul, and on the line is Sam Perkins, the freshman from Latham, New York. 75% free throw shooter. What's this guy's touch?
6 for 6 in the first half. Carolina attacking that 1-3-1 of Pittsburgh very well with a lot of patience. Not trying to hurry things, which is what they were doing early in the ball game against the 2-3 zone. And Dean Smith, of course, called the timeout and straightened everything out right now. But his team could be in trouble if they get any more fouls from the front people.
Al Wood picks it up on the follow, and he has 8. And we talked about Perkins' touch. Those are the first 2 free throws he's missed today.
Way to go, Merrill. Never fails.
Yeah. 40-29 North Carolina. Clancy. Oh, he couldn't handle the ball. But he's got the shot off the baseline anyway. But he had a beauty going, and he just couldn't quite handle it. Watch Neverson on the steal. Neverson with 10. And there's not much you can do to defense that one.
Another steal by Neverson. They picked off quite a few early. Al Wood telegraphed the pass, and then Wood just had to let him go to the basket. He did not want to pick up his 4th in that instance.
The Carolina lead has been cut to 9. Shot blocked by Perkins. Jimmy Black takes over for Carolina. 15-17 to go in the game at El Paso. Perkins is fouled by Brozovic.
I got blue 5-0.
And that's his 4th.
Young Mr. Perkins living on the free throw line in this ball game. 15-10 to go. 40-31. 9-point lead for Carolina with lots of time to go. And we see a halftime score. Kansas really doing it to Arizona State. And that's the team that knocked off Oregon State.
Can you imagine the potential game between Kansas and Wichita State? Kansas State, of course, is also in it. Kansas State upsetting the Oregon State Beavers yesterday. Perkins missed the last 2, but he's got this one. 7 out of 9 on the line for Perkins. Rebound ripped away by Lenny McMillan. Fifteen-minute mark to go in the game now. Sherman, high post. Wallace tries to take it home off the baseline. Basket will not count. And the Pittsburgh bench says, oh, no. But it will not count. A charging foul is called on Dwayne Wallace. And we've got a timeout, and we'll be back from El Paso after this. Here. Carolina's ball.
And Pitt now man-to-man defense and another steal. Although before the steal, the 5-second violation on Perkins didn't get the ball in time.
So Pittsburgh will still have possession.
Dr. Roy Chipman is going to have to pull out all the stops right now, although there is still plenty of time to go. just under 15 minutes, and they're trailing by 10.
Carolina zoning. You just don't think of Carolina ever being in a zone defense.
Well, of course, it's not Dean Smith's favorite defense, but with people in foul trouble, you're almost forced to do it.
Clancy. Big Sam. 8 points for Clancy.
And almost another steal as they're getting really active defensively right now. The Panthers have a lot of good athletes. Not the smoothest team in the world, but they're going to battle you down to the wire.
They indeed have done that. They get her inbounds. Carolina 13 out of 24 from the field, 54%. Pittsburgh 13 out of 30, 43%.
They just temporarily show man-to-man defense and right back into the 1-3-1.
14 minutes to go. Mike Peppers got Worthy at the baseline, cross court and back to Perkins, and Perkins drops it home. That's 5 in this half and 15 in the game for Sam Perkins, the freshman. He should really be something.
Every time you say freshman, it's just unbelievable, the poise that he plays with.
Carolina by 10. And the Panther fans, as they look up the road with the reorganizing job that Roy Chipman has done, as Clancy pops it down. As long as Roy gets performances like that from Clancy, who was playing his senior year, but that's something that will stick with this team. So the Panthers have quite a future under Chipman. And Clancy a steal. Neverson. And Neverson, it looked like he might be trying to lay it off to Clancy, or left-handed up there, and Black fouled him.
He was out of control, but Jimmy Black ducked under him, and he'll pick up the personal foul. But how about the quickness of Sam Clancy? 6'7", 235 pounds, and he has got his hand on about 10 balls already this afternoon, as our shot really did not have a good look down low as Jimmy Black caught him at the knees.
We've got a timeout in El Paso. Carolina 43, Pittsburgh 35. Back right after this. Neverson on the free throw line.
Mike Pepper will get a rest. Al Wood now will move into the backcourt as Matt Doherty has come back into the ballgame, and he was an effective player for Carolina in the first half, especially with his passes. He wasn't credited for about 1 assist in the first half, but he made good inside passes to both Worthy and Perkins.
This game could be decided on the free throw line. North Carolina 15 out of 22, Pittsburgh 5 out of 8 on the line. Neverson's got him moved. 5 points in this half, 11 for the game for Neverson, and again a little pressure by Pittsburgh. 43-37. The Panthers keep creeping up. Pittsburgh won 9 out of its last 11 going into the tournament, then beat Idaho on Dwayne Wallace's shot at the buzzer to advance against North Carolina. Tar Heels having trouble. Block takes it inbound. He's trapped by 3 men, but look at this little guy moving. That's Doherty. Turns it over to Black. Al Wood missed the layup. Worthy on a follow, and he's got it.
That's a sign of a good team, Merle. A lot of balls have been bouncing Carolina's way this afternoon, but if you're there and they come to you, I guess you deserve it.
45-37 Carolina. Well, sometimes, Matt, what's the old saying? Sometimes you got to be good, sometimes you got to be lucky, but most of the time when you get to the NCAA, you got to be good. Everybody's good to cheer.
And the way this tournament is going, you have to be lucky, or you have to have destiny on your side.
Almost a steal by Wood, and he tried to make the save, but it comes right back into the hands of Neverson. Carlton Neverson. 7 in this half, 13 for the game, 45-39 Carolina. Pitt, very patient, pecking away. Al Wood takes it to the baseline to get it back in a hurry. 10 points for Al Wood, the great All-American and Olympian. Quite a dancer, too, they tell me.
He's been dancing out on the floor beautifully. He's made some really professional moves out there. His shots are not dropping with the regularity that they normally do, but quick moves to the hoop.
Out of the corner, firing away, Wallace. Long pass down court. Al Wood and Doherty underneath, and the foul of the ball is knocked away by Sherman. Budko is coming in. Pete Budko.
Doherty with the offensive rebound, and first of all, the referee pointed the other way, and he was right. The ball should have gone to Pittsburgh as it rolled off the leg of Matt Doherty. Al Wood felt he was fouled on the play.
Carolina handles the inbound. Al Wood. Now that's Doherty. Wood off the right side. He's picking up a hot hand. 3 in a row for Al Wood. 12 for the game. 49-39. Carolina back to a 10-point lead. 11 minutes, 18 seconds to go. Lenny McMillan turns it over to Dwayne Wallace. Sherman. Wallace sets the screen for him. Wallace off the heel. Sherman in there for a follow. Not quite. And pulling it out of there is Al Wood. All of a sudden, you really sense Wood's presence as he goes all the way, and he'll get the bucket on goaltending.
And a foul on Al Wood, a charging foul, but they're going to count that basket as it was goaltended. As he has come out in the second half confidently, Dean Smith keeps after him and after him no matter how poorly he's shooting in the ballgame. He's his leader. He needs his scoring. We'll get another look at it from another angle as Al Wood at 6'7" handles the ball like a backcourt man.
And it was Wallace who took the heat, took the charge. Wood has 7 rebounds in this game, and right now he's sitting on the bench with 4 fouls as Mike Pepper comes back in for Carolina. 51-39, Tar Heels.
Little jump trap there by Carolina. Another different look that they show. They even showed a man-to-man last time with all those people in foul trouble. Dean Smith keeps you guessing.
And Pittsburgh always looking. That's Clancy, and Doherty up high to rip it away. Jimmy Black. Pepper trying to go into Perkins. Ball is deflected, knocked out of bounds, and coming into the game now, number 40, Steve Beatty, and look at this score. Virginia, 1-point lead over Villanova as they go back and forth in that one.
Villanova led by 3 at halftime.
This has been an unbelievable NCAA tournament so far this year. Pepper, Doherty. Dean Smith of North Carolina said it best, I believe. He said, people just don't believe the coaches when they say there is so much balance across the country.
They'll believe it now.
Perkins turns around, no place to go but the bucket. It won't go down. Doherty may have an easy one, but it won't go down either. Look at Sam Clancy rip it away. That's Clancy playing both ends of the floor. 5 rebounds for Clancy here. 51-39 Carolina. Shot no good by Wallace, and a jump ball coming off.
Dwayne Wallace with another poor percentage shot here as he's forced to fire one up but doesn't quit on the play and ties up big Pete Budko for a jump ball at the Pitt free throw line. Notice Wallace just looked over to Coach Roy Chipman saying, Coach, maybe you better get me out. I'm just not shooting the ball well right now. And it's not only that, it's the poor shots that he's taking. But this ball club keeps battling. They believe in themselves right now. They've won 10 out of their last 12 ball games. And that means something. And they won the Eastern 8 tournament after finishing 4th in the regular season.
Carolina comes down with a rebound. Daryl Gissendaner, number 20, is now in for Pittsburgh. In the rebounding department, North Carolina 28, Pittsburgh 13. Perkins comes back to the top to Pepper. Black, Butko. Carolina moving the ball. Left-hand hook by Perkins. That kid is unbelievable, isn't he?
That's the hook shot I was telling you about before, Marl, with the first successful one this afternoon for Sam Perkins.
17 points for Perkins. Clancy trying to get it back and does. 8 in this half. 12 for the game for Sam Bam.
Sam has played in every game in his 4 years at Pitt. Expected to be drafted high in the NBA draft and may be drafted by an NFL team.
I got to believe the NFL will go after him. Black on the cross quarter. Doherty out of the key. And Pittsburgh's Lenny McMillan claims the board. Wallace working the lane, and a blocking foul is called on Carolina. It's on Jimmy Black.
Jimmy Black trying to draw the charge from Wallace, who looks a little bit tentative right now. I guess he was going to shoot the ball right there. He did shoot it, but he's not confident right now with his shot, and that hurts.
Worthy comes back in. Perkins goes to the bench. Butko comes to the bench, and Chris Brust, number 45, comes in for Carolina.
Dean Smith really shaking up his personnel right now. They say, the Carolina people, that he really doesn't make the substitutions. He lets his players tell him when they are tired and when they want to come out. They'll give a little fist signal. And also Dean Smith lets his point guard, Jimmy Black, decide a lot of times what kind of defense they're going to play and, of course, what kind of offense they're going to run. And I kind of like that. These kids come to college to play basketball. Let them play.
How many you got for Wood?
Dwayne Wallace on the free throw.
4 fouls on him, Lenny. Take it home. Let's go.
Dwayne Wallace is another one of the players on Pitt who has to be considered a leader besides Sam Clancy. He was another one when Pitt was at 9-9 that really got things to going and really started to understand the point guard position, and the coaches of Pitt give him a lot of credit.
Gissendaner, who was out briefly, is right back in again for Pittsburgh. 53-43, Carolina by 10.
Count, you got 4, 5, 6, 7.
Brust almost tied up, finally loses the ball, and look at Clancy go in there and dig it out and get it to Neverson. Yes, I would say he might be a future pro football prospect. Shot missed to the outside by Beatty. Carolina comes the other way. That's Worthy on the front end. Nice, easy layup. 6 in this half, 14 for the game for Worthy, and Carolina leads now by 55-43. Pittsburgh trying to get it back. Wood rebounds, trying to get a blitz on. Beatty on the front end, and finally, Al Wood holds it up and says, hey, let's start our offense.
The tempo was really hopping there for a minute or so. Carolina is not fast breaking this year as much as they like to. One of the reasons why their shooting percentage is down to just 52%, they say. James Worthy that time, Merrill making a nice move underneath after a good pass outside.
16 for Worthy, 57-43 Carolina. 7:14 to play in this game. The winner of this one goes on to Salt Lake City. Clancy. Sam the Bam lowers the boom. 10 points in this half, 14 for the game. You know, you look at that Clancy, he can play just about any place. I think he can bring the ball down.
Well, he was a center his first 3 years at Pitt, and now they moved him over to what they feel is his natural position, the forward spot. He has some stamina and some strength and some quickness.
Almost a steal, not quite. Shot on the way by Al Wood. And a whistle stopping play under the bucket. Clancy having a finger pointed at him, as we'll take another look.
From behind the hoop as Al Wood misses the short jumper, and the quick leaping ability and the talent of James Worthy to finish off that play. And I guess that's pretty much what we were talking about all before this game, Merrill. Just the overpowering talent of the North Carolina Tar Heel front line over Pitt, despite Sam Clancy.
Possible three-point play coming up for James Worthy, who is 7 out of 9 in this ball game.
We're going to have a discussion between the 3 referees.
All right, we'll see if that basket's good.
Basket is good, and a loose ball foul. Virginia leading by 3, 51-48 at Charlotte.
We've got a timeout. 6 minutes and 41 seconds left to play. Carolina 59-45 over Pittsburgh. We now return to our studios for these messages. Yesterday, Brigham Young a big win over UCLA, and of course NBC will bring you more NCAA action next Saturday afternoon. Be sure to check the listings for the games and times to be seen in your area. More scores. Midwest Regional yesterday, upset St. Joseph's over DePaul. Indiana, no upset there. Indiana swamping Maryland. How about that St. Joseph's ball club, Matt?
Jimmy Lynam, I'm sure just ecstatic right now, knocking off the number one ranked team in the country.
LSU, the first team to score 100 points in the NCAA this year, swamping Lamar. Arkansas, an upset win over Louisville on a shot at the buzzer, about a 50-footer. Clancy works the baseline, twist, and the shot won't go far, and the ball is knocked out of bounds, however, by Carolina. In the Western Regional, Kansas State, a last-second shot to upset Oregon State yesterday. Illinois, a 2-point winner over Wyoming at Los Angeles. And the NCAA moves on next week at 4 sites around the country. And be sure, as I said a moment ago, to check your listings for the games and the times to be seen in your area. McMillan won't go for him. Tipped in, however, by Neverson. That's 9 in this half, 15 in the game for Neverson. 20 seconds to go. Virginia and Ralph Sampson with a 1-point lead over Villanova. 59-47 Carolina.
Well, I don't think anybody could have written a script for this NCAA tournament so far.
It has been unreal.
It's like Carolina ready to sit on the basketball for a while. No need to hurry anywhere. 59-47, 12-point lead for the Tar Heels.
Foul against Pittsburgh, and it's Neverson.
Number 24, Neverson.
So Carlton Neverson gets his 4th foul, and that is 5 team fouls against Pittsburgh. Carolina, by the way, has 4. Carolina 56% from the field. Pittsburgh 42, almost 43.
Dean Smith is becoming so famous for the 4 corners, but this ball club does not use it. They don't feel that Jimmy Black is suited to that position, so they just kind of spread the floor and run kind of a passing game from that, and that's how they put it on ice.
Dr. Roy Chipman, in his first year at Pittsburgh, has almost pulled a miracle. Dean Smith rolling along in his 20th year at North Carolina. Oh, alley-oop, but they missed it.
And Perkins is a little bit shaken up on the play as he really extended his body. Al McGuire or Billy Packer, I don't remember which one, they call him Plastic Man, and he really had to stretch for this one.
Pulling one out of the Monty Towel, David Thompson era, huh? Out of the corner, missing. Kissendanner. Here comes Carolina. Worthy.
Oh.
Basket good. Basket is good by Worthy.
James Black with a beautiful pass to Worthy, who just never seems to be out of control down low. He just took the ball, looked right in the eye of the defender, and made a strong move to the hoop. And with that overpowering and the strong hands, now's a shot at a 3-point play. James Worthy and Sam Perkins have been magnificent underneath the basket this afternoon.
The foul was on Beatty. 20 points right now for Worthy on our book. Going for 21. He's got it. Worthy, 8 out of 10 from the field, 6 rebounds. Not a bad performance, huh? Clancy.
You can't say enough about that big man.
We're going to be thinking about our most valuable player here shortly.
We're going to need help, Merrill.
16 for Clancy. Doherty clears it to Jimmy Black. Less than 4.5 minutes to go. Panthers being out-muscled by the big, tall Carolinians. The basket is good by Doherty.
And a very long continuation play. Referee Charlie Baca. And the Pitt Panthers and the crowd here at Texas El Paso not happy with this one. As Doherty seemed to be fouled some 15, 16 feet away from the basket and then finally made the layup. And they're going to count it. We'll watch it right there. Well, actually about 10 feet away from the basket. We get another different view from it. Here comes Doherty. Hit right there at about the dotted line. And his momentum taking him to the basket. I think it was a good call, Merrill.
Yep. Doherty, the free throw, and it's now 65-44. That second replay, I think, convinced me. Almost a steal. Knocked away by Sam Perkins. 4 minutes, 11 seconds to go. Carolina 65, Pittsburgh 49. That's Wallace. Carolina rebounding. Jimmy Black clears it out to Worthy. And driving to the layup, Al Wood. That's 16 for Al Wood now. Carolina in the rout, 67-49, 3:48 to play. Carolina going into a zone, over the top of it, firing away goes Gissendanner, and second try by Neverson, it won't go down, and Neverson again under the bucket, and he is fouled by Al Wood, and that's all for Wood. So Al Wood is out of the ball game with 3:35 left to play.
So Al picked up 3 of them in the first half. As a matter of fact, for a while in the early moments of the second half. There's a look at Mr. Schaffer next to Al Wood, the leader of the Tar Heels. His father, Lee Schaffer, who played for Dean Smith at North Carolina. Oh, actually played for Frank McGuire at North Carolina. And Lee went on to play with the Syracuse Gnats and Philadelphia 76ers.
Al Wood had a pretty good day. 7 out of 12 in the field and 9 rebounds.
Boy, that whole front line was impressive. We're going to have to pick one of them.
Neverson missing the free throw. Carlton with 15 points. He's above his scoring average at 14. That's his 16th. 67-50. Carolina. 3.5 minutes to go. Clancy trying to steal it, and he does. Sam Clancy never giving up. McMillan now. Clancy. Look at Clancy make his move in the traffic. A little bit short. Ripped away by Worthy of North Carolina. And the Tar Heels now only have to play out the string. 67-50, 3:13 to play in the game. The Tar Heels will meet the winner of the Utah Northeastern game in Salt Lake City next weekend, presuming that they hold this lead at 67-50. Ball into the backcourt. It is still North Carolina's ball. Here's a final. Virginia by 4 over Villanova. So a real struggle for Virginia and Ralph Sampson. That Villanova club, the Wildcats, they've really been something in this tournament, you know.
Coach Rolly Massimino doing an outstanding job. They actually lost their tournament, the Big East, to Syracuse. And Syracuse wound up not coming to the NCAA, and Villanova did.
So Villanova is out of it. Virginia continues. 2 minutes, 41 seconds left. Perkins turned it down. They come back to the outside. Woods 9 rebounds. Perkins 5. Worthy 6. Perkins shot knocked away. Goaltending. Perkins will get it.
Final score, Virginia 54, Villanova 50.
Carolina just spreading the floor and popping into open areas as Sam Perkins putting up the soft hook. And Sam Clancy, again, he just surprises you with his leaping ability.
2:20 left. From the outside, Wallace. Ball belongs to Pittsburgh. 2:13 remaining. Well, if you picked out the MVP.
I'm going to go with James Worthy. What do you think?
Well, I may go for the entire the 3 men up front. Black front courts it. Doherty down to 1:56. I'll make it unanimous. I'll go with James Worthy, and the Chevrolet Scholarship Award will go to North Carolina in his name. James Worthy is the man that we have selected as the most valuable player of this ball game.
And it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. When you consider what Al Wood has done, Sam Perkins, Boston College by 4 over Wake Forest. That game's still underway. Ed Wallace, 54, is coming in now for Pittsburgh. Junior from Philadelphia, getting a little playing time. Also coming in is Clyde Vaughn, who played very well in the first half. He'll replace Sam Clancy. Listen to this hand for Sam Clancy as he goes to the North Carolina bench and is being congratulated by the North Carolina bench, and this entire crowd is standing ovation for Sam Clancy of Pittsburgh.
And is that well deserved? Speaking of most valuable players, he certainly had to be considered in there also, Merle.
Absolutely. And spinning and turning and a foul. Basket goes down. I believe Mike Pepper had a finger pointed at him. Nope.
Braddock.
It was on Braddock, number 24.
Six-team foul.
Clancy, 5 rebounds, 8 for 17 in the field goal department. Scott Greavy, number 34, will come in for Pittsburgh. He'll be replacing Dwayne Wallace. There's Sam Clancy. Tremendous performance by Sam Bam, the senior from Pittsburgh, playing his last game for the Panthers.
Wallace, a three-point play.
Wallace comes out. Greavy comes in. Wallace leaves the game with a 3-point effort. 11 points. Minute 37 to go. Carolina 69, Pittsburgh 53.
Even though the Panthers losing by 16, they have never really quit in this ballgame, and I think you have to give that credit to Clancy. He never dropped his head. He just kept hustling and hustling. And when you do have leadership like that, it just is contagious throughout the rest of the ball club.
Alan Scott Greavy. I couldn't agree with you more, Matt, because you really appreciate what Pittsburgh has done this year. They were kind of in, I don't want to say limbo midway through the season, but at least they looked like they might not have a future at all this year. And yet they decided to put it together and play hard and say, hey, we got a chance. And so they went on to win 19 ball games against 11 losses and finished 11-5 in the Eastern 8. Now for North Carolina, Barlow is coming in and coming to the sideline. Sam Perkins. Pepper is out of there also. Jeff Barlow from Fuquay Arena, North Carolina. Braddock's free throw, good. Fuquay Arena. 2 out of 2 for Braddock. Minute 24 to play. Carolina 71, Pittsburgh 53. Carolina ranked 6th in the nation, seeded 2nd of the Western Regional. Dean Smith has taken Carolina to the semifinals 5 times in the last 14 years. And the basket makes it 71-55. As Vaughn connects at 7 for him. Doherty, 57 seconds remaining. Brings it back out front to Braddock. The last 14 years, Carolina's won the ACC regulation championship 9 times and knows what postseason tournaments are all about. They've only gone to 15 in the last 15 years. Won't go down. And Greavy had a shot at it. It wouldn't connect. We've got a foul against Carolina. Foul is on Doherty.
The last 3 years, Carolina, of course, has gone to the NCAA postseason tournament, but this is the first time that they have won a ball game, and that's kind of amazing.
You know, I think Dean Smith was thinking about that too, as Schaefer comes in now for Carolina.
I think that was the gist of his motivation for his ball club. He wanted to get that monkey off his back, and if we get a chance to talk to him after the ball game, I'm certainly going to ask him.
Cecil Exum, number 50, a freshman from Dudley, North Carolina, is now in for the Tar Heels. Dean Coach of the Year, 1977, 1979. One of the most respected coaches in the business. Looks like he's got quite a ball club. A tournament-tested team now with 1 game under its belt. Vaughn, 9 points for Vaughn. 34 seconds remaining. Carolina 71, Pittsburgh 57 here in El Paso. 24 seconds. Shot missed by Schaefer. And they put one down, but basket is good.
Jeff Barlow getting the follow-up after the miss by Dean Schaffer. As the Tar Heels have been all around the basket all afternoon.
So Jeff Barlow has a chance for a 3-point play.
How'd you like to be this backup front line playing against Worthy, Perkins, and Wood every day? That'll get you ready.
Bumps and bruises in practice. How about that one? Almost. Not quite. Dave Ollinger now in for Pittsburgh. Carolina right back. And at this stage of the game, with everybody playing, things get a little bit ragged. Carolina now, I think we would say, with 6 seconds left as it wrapped up. 74-57, but a great effort by the Pittsburgh Panthers. And our congratulations to Dr. Roy Chipman and his staff, Seth Greenberg, Reggie Warford. And the final shot of the ball game won't go down. Carolina winner and goes on to Salt Lake City. Final score, Carolina, North Carolina Tar Heels 74, the Pittsburgh Panthers 57. Time on, it was Carolina's show here in El
Regionals featuring the Tar Heels of the University of North Carolina. Kansas State forward, number 12, 6'6" junior from Chicago, Illinois, Tyrone Adams. North Carolina forward, number 30.
So Martin Luther King High School in Chicago, Tyrone Adams. One of the forwards, his counterpart, the great player from North Carolina, Al Wood, from Gray, Georgia, senior. He leads Carolina in scoring. Another good shooting forward for the Kansas State Wildcats from St. Louis, Missouri, Randy Reed.
Number 52, a 6'9" sophomore from Gastonia, North Carolina.
Here's a guy that's done a big job for Carolina in the playoffs so far and all season as a sophomore, Big James Worthy. He shut down the All-American from Utah the other night, Danny Vrains. This might be the key player on the Kansas State team with all their upsets. Ed Neely, an unlikely-looking player, a 6'7", 240-pound center, but he's been great. Gotten the rebounds, he's blocked out, he's done all the things you need to do to win. That's his counterpart, the freshman center from Brooklyn, New York, Sam Perkins for Carolina. This young man quarterbacks the Kansas State team, Tim Jankovich from Manhattan, Kansas. Mike Pepper will be in the back line, a senior from Vienna, Virginia for North Carolina. Here's a player to watch, one of the great ones in college basketball today, Rolando Blackman. Born in Panama, raised in Brooklyn, the key player on Kansas State. And in the backcourt, the man, the point guard who Coach Dean Smith says is as good as any there is, Jimmy Black. So we are set to go. Kansas State coming in under Coach Jack Hartman with a record of 24 wins and 8 losses. And there are the starters for North Carolina. Mike Pepper and Jimmy Black in the back line. Sam Perkins at center, James Worthy and Al Wood are the forwards. For Kansas State, backcourt players Tim Jankovich and Rolando Blackman. Ed Neely's the center, Tyrone Adams and Randy Reed start up front. Kansas State is primarily a 3-2 zone defense team. North Carolina, a very diverse team. Jack Hartman, the coach of Kansas State, says it's so difficult to prepare for North Carolina. They do so many different things. They disrupt you, take you out of your game. And here's the tap controlled by Perkins, but picked up by the sure-handed Neely and Jankovich. Brings the ball up court for Kansas State.
You see one of the qualities of Neely right there early in the game, his anticipation for the basketball. Perkins gets the tip, but Neely gets the deflection and steal.
The other night in the victory, Kansas State's Neely had 14 rebounds. For a 5-point winner over Illinois on a Thursday night game, a semifinal game of this West Regional. Down low, this is Tyrone Adams. Carolina's defense in his zone, collapsing back. And down low the ball goes. Randy Reed takes a look at Tyrone Adams, looking to go to the basket. Here is Tyrone Adams, first shot of the game. The rebound comes down to James Worthy. He's looking to run at 6'9". Takes the ball down court for Carolina. To Black down low to Worthy. Outside to Pepper, into the sharpshooter, Al Wood. Rebound knocked down off the glass from Rolando Blackman, who was a high school center. Takes down the defensive board for the Wildcats.
And that's the game that North Carolina know that they're going to want to come out and try and get the tempo. They want to get in the running game as much as possible.
First call of the game is going to go against James Worthy of North Carolina. Held Vrains to 13 the other night. Danny Vrains, the All-American forward for Utah. Carolina took the crowd away also the other night. This building was full, 15,000, most of them for Utah. It's their home arena. And early in the game, Carolina had a lock on the ball game and the crowd. They were quiet.
Dean Smith and North Carolina did an excellent job of that. Every time they'd be 10 up and Utah would make a run, they'd go to their spread, 4 corners, or their C offense and get the crowd right back out of the ball game.
Randy Reed with the free throw. And now Kansas State opens up a 2-0 lead. Kansas State in its earlier games against San Francisco and against Oregon State down by big margins in the second half. Rallying to win, didn't lead Oregon State until there was just 2 seconds left in the game, but they beat the number 2 team 50-48. Here's James Worthy to the basket, gets it down, and he's fouled on the play.
And talking to Dean Smith, he said that's what they felt they could do. They could attack the 3-2 zone down inside the red line and get the ball deep. See, watch Worthy up there. Right inside, only about 6-8 feet from the basket. Up he goes. Foul called on Ed Neely. And that's one thing that Kansas State will not be afforded, is to get that big guy in foul trouble.
James Worthy, a 64% free throw shooter. And it's now a 3-2 game with 18:45 to play in the first half.
Worthy with 3 points there, was the leading scorer in their first 2 games, had 36.
North Carolina doubling up on the ball. Jimmy Black taps it over to Worthy. 3-on-2. Lead pass goes down to Perkins to the basket, and he gets the roll, and Carolina with 5 quick points takes a 5-2 lead.
Key for Kansas State right there is going to have to be able to handle the half-court pressure defense of North Carolina. And as Jack Hartman stated, he would like 3 or 4 days to prepare it, not just 1.
Al Wood goes for the steal again for North Carolina, but this time there's a foul call on the Tar Heels. It'll come back inbounds to Kansas State. But watch that last steal again.
This is what Kansas State's going to be looking at all the time. Reed getting the ball up over his head right there, has it deflected and stolen. Worthy down. Good pass to Big Sam. He comes in there. That 42-inch sleeve just lays it up. 1-2, soft shot, goes for 2.
Jack Hartman in his 11th year as the head coach at Kansas State. Never had a team in the Final Four. Tyrone Adams fires up an air ball. Tipped out. Here comes Jimmy Black on the run down the middle. On the right flank is Al Wood. Black takes a look at him, pulls up. Now goes to Wood down low off the baseline. Al Wood can't get the roll, but it's tipped up. No good, and the rebound is slapped inside court, and Jankovic takes it for Kansas State. Wildcats running. Fast-paced game. Down low they go, and driving to the basket is Randy Reed, who slams it on down. It's a 5-4 game, North Carolina.
Reed coming into this game, NCAA play was 16 for 21. That's 76.2%. That's 17 for 22 now on the easy one.
And Reed has the first 4 points of the game for Kansas State. Al Wood out high. Jimmy Black takes a look. Wood jump passing down low to Perkins as the defense collapses on him. They move the ball around quickly to the Tar Heels. Down low to Wood. He's not looking to shoot back out to Pepper. Perkins working down in the lane. Al Wood, the best shooter, working off the baseline. Bounce pass into Perkins, up over the defense. It doesn't go, though, and here comes Kansas State with the rebound again. Jankovic forces the ball up court.
And, Don, there's an example of what Kansas State does to you. Check off that ball, hit the floor, and that's where they come off with the rebound. Excellent job checking off the board.
Randy Reed is doing it all so far as Kansas State takes back the lead 6-5. Reed with all 6 points for the Wildcats.
Kansas State the other night came out running against Illinois, built an 11-2 lead. And I think they want to show that they'll run, which now forces that defense not to crash the boards.
Down low to Perkins, tipped to Worthy, and he gets it on a bank shot.
That's been a successful area as any to attack the 3-2 zone, going down to that baseline and getting the 8-10 foot shot.
And James Worthy now has 5 of Carolina's 7 points. They're up by 1. Kansas State now working on the perimeter. Rolando Blackman looking to drive. Here's a pass to Adams. He's thrown up 2. Edmund Clochette.
Jankovic lost an advantage right there. Pepper fell down. He should come right back to Rolando, who is wide open and had the shot.
Neely shoots. Perkins rebounds for Carolina, and he's fouled on the play.
And Perkins showing you a job of checking off right there, too. Checked off that man, Randy Reed. Randy Reed up over the back, picks up his first personal.
North Carolina will inbound the ball with 16 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the first half. The East Regional Final is coming up next here on NBC. Brigham Young with the great Danny Ainge in Atlanta, Georgia, set to go against the Cavaliers of Virginia and their great All-American Ralph Sampson. North Carolina leading by 1. Perkins on a turnaround jump shot. Rebound off the offensive board, saved by Al Wood. Inbounds to Jimmy Black, the point guard from New York City. Over to Mike Pepper. Loop pass goes to Worthy. They're looking at Perkins. They got a big height over match inside. Perkins gets it up and down, but there's another foul on the play, and Dean Smith wants it to go, and it does.
Let's take a look at this again. I'm not sure who they call the foul on right here. You catch it down on the baseline, coming inside. Watch Sam right now. I think he gives a little fake, a jump hook right up there. Takes it away from the defense, up off the glass. Nice shot.
Sam Perkins grew up in Brooklyn, played some high school basketball outside Albany, only played 2 years of high school basketball. Moved in as the starting center for North Carolina when Pete Butko was injured. Been a fine offensive player all season and is improving greatly on defense.
He set the freshman records this year for North Carolina, the all-time freshman scorer, also the all-time freshman rebounder. Great season for him.
It's a 10-6 game, North Carolina. Kansas State Wildcats in the purple uniforms go to their All-American Rolando Blackman. Can't get to go. Here comes Black leading the Blake. Lead pass goes down to Pepper, left flank. Nothing open as the baseline is shut off by Jankovic. Down low to Worthy. Rebound to Neely. Outlet pass goes to Jankovic. Both teams open it up early. Kansas State had played a controlled game throughout the tournament so far, but so far today they've elected to run with Carolina. Neely gets a free shot from 12. You see it doesn't go, but there's a whistle and a foul call inside. It'll go against North Carolina. Right now we're going to have a timeout signaled on the floor. The foul is on Mike Pepper. It was his first. 15:06 to play in the first half. North Carolina leading Kansas State 10-6, and we'll be back at the Special Events Center in Utah after this. They will be picking a player to receive the Most Valuable Player of the Game Scholarship Award, a $1,000 scholarship award from Chevrolet. Right now, Carolina comes up with another steal. Here comes Jimmy Black with Pepper on the left flank. Black pulls up, takes the shot. Rebound tipped around. Jankovic got a handle. Here comes Rolando Blackman. He can do things with the ball. Men on either side. Blackman leads to Neely down low, and Kansas State scores.
And there you saw the All-American Rolando Blackman. He could have gone to the middle with the ball to Neely. Neely's not the man to have it. He waved to Neely to fill the lane. Neely cut over. He ends up getting the basket at the end of the break.
North Carolina had to go a long way after winning the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament. Went out to Pauley Pavilion at UCLA and beat Pittsburgh in their first game as Mike Pepper drives down a jump shot. Dean Smith is up as his Tar Heels take a 4-point lead. Dean Smith now in his 20th season as head coach at North Carolina. 5 times he sent teams to the Final Four. In 1977, they were the runner-up. They've never won under Dean Smith. Down low, pass to Reed. Tyrone Adams assisting Randy Reed, who's been the prime mover on offense for Kansas State. Reed with 8 points. It's a 12-10 game Carolina. Al Wood comes right back and hits for Carolina.
North Carolina countering, getting the long down-court pass, and Al Wood right here. Just excellent job. Squares right up to the basket. Good release. Fine shooter.
Jankovic, they get a blocking foul called on Jimmy Black, trying to get position. Pete Butko now coming into the game for North Carolina.
The important thing there, where's Jankovic, is handling that basketball. When North Carolina comes at you with what they call their scramble defense there, starts to trap. If you're dribbling the ball, keep dribbling, because if you pick it up, the pressure's really going to come. You have to try and dribble out of trouble as Jankovic did there, see the court ahead, and movement of the other 4 players is what's the key in breaking that defense down.
Kansas State finished second in the Big 8 this season, the regular season to Missouri, and then finished second in the Big 8 tournament to Kansas. And they've been a terror in the playoffs, and now Al Wood comes down with a rebound. Here's the steal by Frankovich, loses it to Butko, and Jankovic will be called for a foul. Tim Jankovic gets the personal foul with 13:36 to play in the first half.
Hometown boy from Manhattan, Kansas, started his career at Washington State, thought he wanted to get away from that hometown influence and the pressures, was a starter at Washington State, but found he'd like to return, came back, and has done an excellent job quarterbacking Kansas State.
Substitute in the game now for Kansas State. Les Kraft comes in. Big 6'10" forward center, Bozeman, Montana. Right now, North Carolina has a 4-point lead. Here's a freshman, Matt Doherty, high school All-American from Long Island.
Well, what an excellent job Doherty did the other night against Utah. Just a super job handling the basketball, penetrating, and also came up with 12 points in the ball game.
Zone defense for Kansas State. North Carolina moving the ball around it and over it. They go out to Al Wood, pumping from 22 feet, and Al Wood is right there. Carolina extends its lead to 6. Biggest lead of the game, Al Wood with his second field goal.
That's the area that Kansas State wants to make you beat them from, and that's outside, but Al Wood, an excellent outside shooter.
Here's a steal by the freshman Matt Doherty to the basket. Jankovic trying his best, but Doherty takes it the distance, and Carolina opens up an 8-point lead now, 18-10.
Smart play there by Jankovic, even though they get 2 points. Doherty 6'5" to his 6 foot. He's faked at him. Maybe might have got a chance to make a miss, but not get the foul in a 3-point play.
Ball will come back inbounds to Kansas State. As North Carolina doing a lot of trapping on defense now, doubling up on the ball.
See Doherty stepping in, look at him, look back, check out the defense. Coming in to see Jankovic kind of stutter his feet, trying to upset him right there, but did not commit the foul in the 3-point play. Hartman upset, and I'm sure they only committed 7 turnovers the other night, and they must have 4 or 5 in the ball game already.
12:30 to play in the first half. North Carolina has opened up an 18-10 lead. The winner of this game will play the winner from the East Regional next Saturday in Philadelphia. Jankovic from the outside. Not enough there, but following the shot up is Tyrone Adams, a Chicago player, getting his first field goal of the game for Kansas State. 6-point lead for the Tar Heels. Jimmy Black takes a look in the corner to Big Pete Butko. Perkins moving back and forth across the lane. Here's Doherty, the freshman, against Blackman. Matt Doherty, who's really come on late in the season, had a fractured thumb early, missed a lot of playing time, and isn't a starter right now, but he actually probably is in there more than Mike Pepper, the starting guard, is.
Well, that's right. He came back, was playing excellent for North Carolina early. After that injury you talked about, did not play well, but the last 2 games in tournament time, he has really come on strong. This is where you'd want him to come on.
Adams shoots, doesn't get it to go, gets his own rebound. Tipped back to him. Here's Kraft looking inside. Eduardo Galvo looking for the ball in the corner. That's Galvo, a player from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Now we have that classic matchup you're talking about. Elwood on Rolando Blackman.
Rejected. That was by Sam Perkins. Here comes Black on a control break for Carolina. Down low he goes to Perkins. Not quite enough there. The roll goes around and down. Foul call. Looks like it's going to go against Perkins. We'll see if the basket counts. No basket. And the big center for North Carolina, Sam Perkins, gets the personal foul. It's his first one. 5 team fouls now on Carolina, 4 on Kansas State, with 11:08 to play in the first half.
North Carolina half-court pressure has done an excellent job against Kansas State, and the early going has been bothering the Cats.
Carolina, with a lot of big people down low. Ball moving around the outside. Les Kraft throws up a jumper, and Perkins sweeps down the defensive board. And again, Carolina comes up looking to run. Black seeing there's no overmatch with a quick pass in the corner to Elwood. Down low to James Worthy. Rebound, slap back, and here comes Eduardo Galvo. Galvo takes the ball down low to Jankovic. He gets it up, doesn't get it to go, and there's a foul call underneath. And it's going to go on North Carolina. Jankovic at 6 feet, going hard to the basket. Jimmy Black is called for a second personal foul. Dean Smith doesn't like that one. He's up and protesting vehemently.
You see the action there, and Black really hustled back. He had back on defense, and it was a close call as to whether you're going to go blocking or charging, and Dean Smith still really hot and talking to the official. And we've got a technical foul called. This is on Dean, which I assume it is. Look at him right there. This will be a 2-shotter. And Jankovic on the line, 79.6% free throw shooter.
Technical foul on the North Carolina bench, resulting in 2 shots on the technical.
We've got the first 2 shots right here. It will be on his attempt on the field goal try. Now he'll stay at the line as he gets the 2 free throws on the technical.
Gets a couple more as he was fouled going to the basket with a shot. Jankovic is a academic All-American. This is the first time that Jack Hartman right there and Dean Smith have coached against each other. They're 2 very close friends. Dean says he likes to get him at the coaches' conventions as his partner. He's a 2 handicap.
Well, what Dean does, he gives you the 4-foot putt so they get you down to the money, and then he makes you putt the 18-inch one.
North Carolina's lead is 20-14.
North Carolina players are still questioning something out there. Other one where they're just trying to delay with that free throw up there, but now the official is going to go over and check something out. So they must have had a point of contention that is going to merit discussion with the bench.
North Carolina and Kansas State are both in the NCAA tournament for 15 times. 15 different years they've been there. Only schools that have been there more are Kentucky, UCLA, and Notre Dame. Tim Jankovic back at the free throw line, now shooting his personal fouls. Got the brick touch early in this game does Jankovic, and it's a 20-14 game.
That's a good break for North Carolina because Jankovic, a good free throw, could come away with a 4-point with the 4 free throws and then come back with possession and make it a 6-point play. The thing that I've got to just read into that, the North Carolina players, maybe they were thinking that the first one is a 1-and-1, and then the 2-shot. That's what they were arguing about.
Jack Hartman, the Kansas State coach, says Carolina throws so many things at you, and we've already seen a number of different defenses. Carolina trying to trap the man with the ball. Eduardo Galvo gets the ball down low, and now they throw it way over the top of the North Carolina zone defense. Tyrone Adams takes a look inside. Now man-to-man defense for North Carolina. Tyrone Adams, Worthy goes down, but no foul call. Rolando Blackman is stolen by Al Wood, but he lost it, and Blackman picked up the free ball for Kansas State.
North Carolina's defense just swarming, doing an excellent job.
Good move. To the basket was Tyrone Adams for Kansas State. It's a 20-16 game. Adams with 4 points. So recall that 2 occasions Carolina led by 8. 18-10 and then 20-12. Now it's a 4-point game, North Carolina. 9:45 to play in the first half. North Carolina's Al Wood throws over the top of the Kansas State zone to the freshman Matt Doherty. Down low to another freshman, Perkins.
North Carolina's attack against that zone. They've switched now. They're like they're a 2-1-2 zone. Going to the baseline and inside.
They go down to the big man. Perkins gets his own offensive rebound, follows it back up, and North Carolina leads by 6.
Perkins real smart there. When he came off of that board, he could have put the ball up. He took it down, got his feet under him, good control, went up strong, laid it off the glass.
Jankovic heads to the basket, goes down low to Tyrone Adams, puts people up with a head fake. I think they're going to get him on a travel though before he went.
He felt the pressure of Big Sam in that 42-inch sleeve. He had 4 block shots the other night and really disrupted Danny Brains, the All-American, early going. Here's North Carolina. Here's the lob to Perkins. Right there, he puts it right back up on this particular page. Look, now this is the one where he brings it back down, gathers himself, goes up strong. Kansas State defender keeps off the play, avoids the foul, up off the glass.
So the Tar Heels from Chapel Hill hold to a 6-point lead, looking to go to the Final Four once again. With another upset win, advanced by Boston College 42-41. LSU, an impressive winner over Arkansas in the Midwest. And Wichita beat Kansas by a point.
Kansas State defense, we mentioned. Oh, good lob pass right there over the top. A 2-1-2 to cut out the inside play of North Carolina against that 3-2 zone.
They're getting the ball down low, Gary, to Big Sam Perkins. He has 9 points for North Carolina. And the Tar Heels lead us back up to 8. Rolando Blackman not handling the ball that much. He has it right now with Worthy, the best defender, working against him. Rolando Blackman puts it up, but the ball was partially blocked on the way up. Didn't have the handle when he got to the top of his jump, couldn't release properly, and now Al Wood takes the ball down court for North Carolina. Doherty takes a look at the baseline where big James Worthy's position. Here's Wood, he can gun, 25, Al Wood is down. 26-16, and North Carolina takes its biggest lead of the game, 10 points. Al Wood has 6 off from the outside. Down low they go to Blackman to the basket. There is a goaltend against James Worthy. Jack Hartman, the Kansas State coach you're looking at there, feels there's one drawback with his All-American Blackman. It's that he doesn't project enough on offense. He's too unselfish.
Well, you'll see him right now go inside. Watch the quickness of the one big step and explosion to the basket. Worthy coming to the weak side, traps the ball right there. No doubt about that. Offensive goaltending, too, for the All-American Blackman.
His first 2 of the game. It cuts Carolina's lead to 8 points. 7:49 left to play in the first half. North Carolina now coming down on their controlled offense with Butko back in the game. James Worthy gives it to Jimmy Black. Al Wood cutting low is blocked off of the baseline, and Carolina throws the ball away.
Kansas State went man for man. They've used that's their 3rd different defense right now, and a good job by Adams that time of body checking Wood going through. He picks up the offensive foul.
Kansas State, the upset specialists of this tournament of upsets in 1981, with upset wins so far over San Francisco and number 2 Oregon State. Thursday night over Illinois. With the ball, trailing favored North Carolina. And here's a steal again by Doherty, who's down the distance for the basket. Matt Doherty with 2 steals, 2 subsequent driving shots. He has 6 points. And again, Carolina opens up the 10-point lead. This kid can really play.
Well, he's good job, North Carolina, the whole team of anticipation on the defensive end and making the steals. He struggled a little bit at going down in the break, but did a good job getting himself under control, finally getting in the basket.
Blackman having a problem against the Carolina defense. It's just all over in a man-to-man. So tight, then they'll trap the ball.
One thing I think Kansas State's going to have to do, they're going to have to get some penetration to the basket. They're going without the basketball, or some penetration to drive right there as Rolando does.
That was Rolando with the turnaround jump shot, makes it a 28-20 game, Carolina. Rolando Blackman, born in Panama, moved to Brooklyn, and now it's moved to Manhattan, Kansas. His mother moved out there with him. That's his hometown, he says. Jimmy Black on the left flank, whistle blows inside, pushing foul goes against North Carolina. James Worthy.
3-second call.
3-second call are going to go against him, against Worthy. So the ball comes the other way. Eduardo Galvo comes back in the game for Kansas State.
I think the key to the ball games, you look at Perkins right now, is for Kansas State. North Carolina, in my opinion, has just been playing super here in the early going in the first 14 minutes. Kansas State still hanging in there, only 8 down. Important that they keep this ball game in the first half under 10 points.
In the middle, they have the big guard posted. Rolando Blackman, he was a high school center, likes to play down low at 6'5". He can go way up over a lot of the taller front men. Here is Jankovic on the outside to Tyrone Adams. Low they go to Randy Reed, back outside to Tyrone Adams, and the rebound is taken down by Perkins. Looking for the outlet, he goes to his point guard, Black. Gun pass into the corner to Wood, down low to James Worthy, up over everybody. Carolina's James Worthy gets the roll, and North Carolina again extends its lead to 10 points, 30-20. Big James, sophomore from Gastonia, now 7, Gary.
And the big guys for North Carolina putting that shot up and really soft. How many shots we've seen hang around there and bounce as a mark of good shooters?
To the basket goes Randy Reed. Powers his way in, gets it down, and draws the foul. So he'll shoot for a 3-point play. Reed is the top point producer in the game so far with 10 for Kansas State.
Well, he's a strong kid. You'll watch him right here. Good fake. Perkins come in. He does a good job here. Instead of taking it straight up, he fakes. Now he challenges Perkins and takes it right into him. Draws the 3-point attempt.
Kansas State in those upsets earlier over San Francisco and Oregon State came from way down in the second half. They were 12 down to San Francisco, 11 down to second-ranked Oregon State in the second half. Rallied back to win. They led wire to wire the other night against Illinois. Came out with a 5-point win for their 3rd straight upset victory in this NCAA tournament. Mike Pepper back in the game, throws the ball to Black, down low to Perkins. In the middle of the Kansas State zone. North Carolina cautiously moving the ball around inside when it's open. Now it comes back out to Jimmy Black, quickly to Elwood, over to Mike Pepper, down low it goes to Perkins, and back to Pepper as Carolina guns the ball around outside and over the Kansas State zone with 5 minutes left to play in the first half. Elwood throws up a jump shot back of the iron and gets the rebound. It goes down to Perkins. A loop pass to the big guy, Perkins off his hand, back down to Kansas State. Matt Doherty comes back in the game for North Carolina. So North Carolina, which opened the NCAA tournament play impressively with a big win, a 17-point win over Pittsburgh, continue with an upset of Utah. Looking good again today.
See a lot of rosy red cheeks out in this area, don't you? Around the hotel.
A lot of skiers out here, a lot of basketball fans from all over the country. A lot here from Carolina as Randy Reed goes to the basket for Kansas State. And all of a sudden, Kansas State starts to ease right back into the game. Down by 10 twice, they're down by 5. With 4:35 to play, Reed has scored 13 for the Wildcats. Jimmy Black to the freshman Matt Doherty. Worthy playing a post in the middle of the zone, moving in and out. Now goes down to the baseline. Perkins also down low. Rebound taken down to the missed shot by Rolando Blackman. Hitting the breakdown court. Very slick with the ball. Jankovic gets it to Tyrone Adams. Here's Eduardo Galvo.
Talk about Kansas State coming out running. I think one of the reasons they've tried to run, Blackman seems to be taking on his own right now, is to try and beat the North Carolina defense down, because their half-court defensive pressure has been tremendous.
You can get Kansas State down, but it's awful tough to get him out. And now you've seen them come back from a 10-point deficit. They've rallied back to within 3. Worthy having trouble holding the ball. Let's see what it comes into. James Worthy had it tipped away, and it'll come back inbounds to North Carolina. The basketball success story of North Carolina is really remarkable. At halftime, you're going to be interested in hearing a report on the Ray Meyer tapes. He had a wireless mic on during the game last week against St. Joe of Philadelphia, and some things that we don't think were true about Ray Meyer were said about him, what he said to his players. Anybody that knows Ray Meyer, and you only have to ask people who played for him over his 39 years, he's always been the greatest to his players, and we're going to have a review of just what did happen last Saturday at Dayton, Ohio. You know what the final number was. St. Joe's winning by a point at the buzzer, doing the same thing again last night against Boston College in the Mid-East. Haley just got his third personal.
Third personal. That's a big key in the ball game for Kansas State. He's disturbed about it. Al Wood, you see the all-around ability of that guy. Missed shot, but he comes through, did not check him off the board, followed up, got the basket. He's right there now for the chance for the three-pointer.
Al Wood, a 6'6" senior from Gray, Georgia. This is 124th game. He's played in more games for North Carolina than any player in the history of the great program they have at Chapel Hill.
It's real hustle plays like that withdraws the momentum of a team. Kansas State had cut it to three. They got a missed shot and a chance then to go to one. He comes up with a big three-pointer.
Jim Braddock in the game now, guard for North Carolina. Dean Smith keeping fresh troops in to chase that ball. Les Kraft goes over to Rolando Blackman. They want him to go offense. Now he leads off inside to Kraft, but the double up takes the ball away or the shot away from him, and he gets it back to Rolando Blackman.
I'm sure as I watch Blackman's play, he's been told you've got to get more active and do more things with the ball because he's been more aggressive in the last couple of minutes of play.
Galvo throws to Jankovic, almost a walk. Rebound knocked around and taken down by Perkins, and a whistle and a foul call.
But Al Wood, the member of the 1980 Olympic team, picks up his second personal foul up over the back of Randy Reed, who I think has 13 points as he goes to the line.
Reed is really committed. He's a 12-point-a-game scorer. He has 13 already for Kansas State. He's been getting some stuff open down low and putting it down. It's a 6-point game. North Carolina. Tar Heels have led by 10 twice here in the first half. Reed gets the first free throw, a 64% free throw shooter. Strong player, junior from St. Louis.
Junior college transfer, came from Forest Park Community College in Missouri, and it really has blended in to Jack Hartman's system.
And now, Kansas State Wildcats cut the North Carolina lead to 4 points. Jim Braddock working in backcourt as the point guard, giving Jimmy Black a rest. Perkins goes to Wood, making that zone defense run as they zing the ball all around it. Worthy double up, throws out and back to Braddock. And becoming a factor, 2:38 to play in the first half. North Carolina in the lead, 33-29. Braddock comes in off the bench and drills the long shot for North Carolina, gives the Tar Heels a 6-point lead. See the game clock winding down in the first half. Doubleheader day today on NBC as 2 of the final 4 teams will be decided. From Utah, we go to Atlanta, where Brigham Young goes against Virginia. The East Regional Final. Les Kraft can't get it to go. Doherty, the 6'7" freshman guard, rebounds off the defensive board and goes to Braddock. Jankovic, same size as Braddock, right with him. Zone defense. Doherty fires the ball to Wood, sees a man with a better shot than he had and goes to Worthy, but it doesn't go. But Doherty fights inside, misses one, gets the follow-up, puts it down, and Doherty has 8 points.
And I think I've seen more offensive putbacks in this ball game by North Carolina already than they did by Illinois the other night. They're really going to the offensive boards.
Randy Reed has hit 4 of 5 shots for Kansas State, but again, Kansas State can't get it to go, and North Carolina, looking for an overmatch, pushes the ball down the floor. Doherty in the corner, gives it back to Reed as the game clock, as you see, winding down to 1:20. And North Carolina in the lead, 37-29.
For the most part, they've had excellent ball movement down here against the zones, and then they get this guy outside who can really feel. You just tell Al Wood now, he can feel that he's got the shot going today. 11 for Wood.
Soft jumpers from the outside. And Al Wood again extends North Carolina's lead to 10 points. Kansas State cut it to 3. Eduardo Galvo sees nothing inside the Carolina zone, so he goes to Blackman again. The rebound comes down to Carolina. 3-on-2 break. Lead goes over in the right flank to Jimmy Braddock. Back to Al Wood. He can fire again, but he goes low. Worthy feeds to Perkins. He slams it down. And Carolina has it all going out as North Carolina with 3 quick passes result in the slam dunk by the freshman Sam Perkins has opened up its biggest lead of the game, 41-29.
Great ball movement by North Carolina. They've been getting on the break. Kansas State now shooting so well, allows them to run. Watch it here. Spots the open man. Now the pass off by Worthy, who's second in assists on that club. And here comes Perkins, the first stuff that Kansas State has given up. And Dean Smith loves it.
Yes, sir. Just like we...
You think this is an emotional game? Give me three, man. Give me three.
Just like we drew it up on the board. And Perkins at the free throw line extends North Carolina's lead now to 42-29. A 13-point advantage with 44 seconds to play in the first half. Butko, a 6'9" senior from Lutherville, Maryland, back in the game for North Carolina. Now Carolina puts some pressure on Kansas State as they try to bring the ball up. Doherty hawking the ball. Pepper knocked it away, gets it to Braddock. Doherty working down low. They don't see him. He was open.
Braddock lost a great opportunity they had. But Doherty right underneath the basket had an easy two.
And we pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
Television 7, Washington, Greenville, New Bern.
This is Don Quickie with Gary Thompson. NCAA tournament action. The West Regional Final in Salt Lake City. North Carolina in white with the ball, and as you see, a 13-point lead. Looking to extend it more as we come down close to halftime, and there's the horn. And North Carolina opening up big leads of 10 points. I think we might have had a foul, Gary, before it ended.
All right, we got a foul on Doherty. Dean Smith protesting that call. And one of the officials, I think Lavender, calling it. And this is a break for Kansas State. They'll have a chance to go 1-1 as time runs out in the first half.
Very well played first half by North Carolina. Perkins, the freshman. Sam Perkins with 12 points. Al Wood had 11. And Matt Doherty coming off the bench playing great ball. The freshman had 8. Worthy hit for 7. Randy Reed's been the big scorer in the game with 15 for Kansas State. So the opportunity is for naught.
Really kind of summing up Kansas State's first half right here as he misses that free throw. 79% free throw shooter.
North Carolina right now in command of the game, but as we pointed out, if we look at that last foul, Kansas State has been a second-half team as they've this year beaten 7 conference champions.
Great move by Worthy there. Fake, steps in, comes off, and now you'll see the good position by Kansas State. Stays at it right there. Doherty once, twice. In that position, he had no chance really to get it. Should have backed off, not given Kansas State a chance. He did not get burned as Adams missed the free throw.
And as they've done throughout the playoffs, they're holding Kansas State down to under 41%. The 2 previous opponents were held below 40.
One of the big keys, too, is that Perkins has neutralized Neely. Neely's only had 1 rebound in the first half.
Only has 2 points, Ed Neely. He was the key in the upset of Illinois Thursday night. Jimmy Black loops it down low to Sam Perkins, who had a big first half and goes right out to get a second started. Tap shot by Woods, no good, and the rebound down to Tyrone Adams. Up court it comes to Jankovic, down low to Neely. He loops a pass inside to Randy Reed, the leading scorer in the game with 15. There's a foul called in North Carolina.
Kansas State coming down quick. You see the pass now going to Neely in the corner. Come down in here, and Worthy riding across picks up the foul over the shoulder on Randy Reed.
Producer today for NBC, Kenneth Edmondson. Our director, Ken Fouts. As Tyrone Adams throws up a long one, the rebound comes down to Reed off the offensive board. He puts it right back up, and the rebound now is taken down by Wood for Carolina. Here come the Tar Heels. Jimmy Black matched up against Jankovic, goes low to Perkins, and the big guy loops it up, and it's tapped back by Al Wood. Tapped up a second and third time, and finally the smallest guy out there, Jankovic, gets the ball and leads the break. 3-on-3 lead goes to Neely, pulling up for the bank shot, and Neely hits the jump shot for Kansas State.
That's a 4-point turnaround as you look Neely picking up his 4th point. North Carolina has had that ball down and in the basket and everything but scoring. There are about 3 or 4 attempts.
I must emphasize to you this Kansas State team, which has advanced this far with 3 consecutive upsets, including one over second-ranked Oregon State, has a great history of coming from behind in the second half. Right now, Kansas State is down by 11 points to North Carolina. Al Wood makes it a 13-point lead for the Tar Heels. Wood has now scored 13 points.
Doing an excellent job of freeing up Wood offensively, and he has really got the touch. Super shooter.
Kansas State with a great Big 8 basketball tradition since that conference was formed back in 1959. Kansas State has won the conference 8 times and tied 2 other years. They're the winningest team in Big 8 regular season history. Reed goes back outside. Jankovic sees a free one, can't get it to go, but the rebound inside court goes to Adams of Kansas State. Back to Jankovic. If it's first you don't succeed, and Tim Jankovic knocks it down.
Mark of a good player right there. You have a tendency to back off when you missed one, but Jankovic took the pass right in stride, stepped in, put the shot up with good touch.
11-point lead again. North Carolina's not shot well in the second half, only 1 of 6. You saw those missed taps a little earlier. Here's Al Wood to Worthy. Down to Perkins, getting rough inside as Big Neely is starting to assert himself. The 6'7", 240-pound center for Kansas State.
Catch a foul there on Tyrone Adams, his second, reaching back in. You know, those missed tips, they were almost cinched.
That's your basic Tar Heel. 500 Carolina rooters here. It'd be a lot more than that if there was more tickets available. There'll be a lot of them in Philadelphia if they get there. We have a long way to go in the second half, though. 17:34 to play in the game. North Carolina by 11 and with the ball. James Worthy to Black, quickly to Pepper, drives baseline, doubled up, he loops it out. Blackman can't get the ball, and Jimmy Black at 6'2" takes it inside and banks in a jump shot.
And there's a key, too. The guards have not shot that much. I think that's 3 baskets by the guards, maybe 4. I think Braddock got 1. But the front line of North Carolina put it up 25 out of the 33 shots in that first half. So they've been getting production out of the guards when they've shot.
Tim Jankovic, who hit a moment ago, can't get this one to work, and Perkins sweeps the defensive board for Carolina. Here's Black, lead pass to Worthy. Big guy goes to the basket, and the big sophomore knocks it in for North Carolina with his 8th and 9th points. And all of a sudden, Carolina has opened up its biggest lead, a 15-point advantage.
You're a Kansas State fan. One of the positive things you have to think about is that Kansas State was down 10 or 12 in the first 2 ball games and had the ability to come back.
Reed gets the offensive board. Neely takes it back up. And Ed Neely, fighting his way with his own teammate, gets it for the shot. He now has 6 points.
And that hasn't happened too many times, getting inside on the follow shots. Big Sam Perkins has been like a vacuum cleaner. He's been taking everything off the board.
A lot of Carolina's opponents have assessed their front line. Perkins, Worthy, and Wood is the best in college basketball. It was the key the other night in the victory over Utah. They each had 15 points. Here's a reject, and here comes Jankovic. He's got a problem in front of him. Gives off to Rolando Blackman. Back now to Tyrone Adams. Didn't have enough on the shot. Carolina comes back the other way. A wasted trip for Kansas State on an overmatch.
That was intimidation right there again. The big front line of North Carolina. And I think Kansas State started out the ball game that a little bit in awe of the game they'd watched the night before with Utah.
Rebound down to Perkins, and a foul call. Go against Perkins.
I think it did, and Dean Smith, you saw a shot there. He kind of agreed with it, said yes, he got it.
Number 3 on Sam Perkins.
It'll be interesting. Excuse me, Don. It's going to be interesting to see here if Dean comes and has Sam out of the ball game. Depending on what kind of defense they've got. Now, if they're man for man, I would challenge Perkins down inside right now and try and get that 4th foul.
Eduardo Galvo is in the game for Kansas State. He has the ball, and a problem does well to get it back out to Jankovic. Randy Reed firing. Not enough there, and down with the rebound is Wood.
You know, Neely looked at the guards coming down that time as they changed ends of the court as if to say, hey, look for me, talking to him. And I think that's a good, smart move right now, is to try and get him against Perkins.
Perkins with a big height advantage on Neely goes up against him and drops it in. It's 50-35, North Carolina.
No match right there when Perkins gets it down that deep. And the nice thing that he's doing most of the time is he does not put the ball on the floor. He just takes it, turns, and spins and up to the basket.
Excellent play by the Brazilian backcourt player Eduardo Galvo as he loops inside, spins off, and assists Neely on the easy inside shot. And it's now a 13-point lead for Carolina.
Good agility showing by a guy, Neely, 6'7" and 240.
Doherty guns the ball down low to Black, and the sophomore guard can't get it down. But he does draw a shooting foul. Jankovic hacked at him as he went to the basket.
Jankovic, the assist leader for his ball club, picking the foul up on Jimmy Black, who's their assist leader. Had the most assists this year, Jimmy Black did, since Phil Ford.
Right now in Salt Lake City, there's a break in the action as Dean Smith, whose Tar Heels have been to the Final Four 5 times and have never won it under Smith, With a lead right now of 50-37, and we'll be back. This is Matt Doherty on the outside of the Kansas State defense. His own defense, Kansas State in a 2-3. Trying to get back in the game, as they've done so many times against favorite opponents, just as they're against now in North Carolina earlier in this NCAA tournament. Doherty gets the ball to Pete Butko. Back out to Doherty. Carolina with a 13-point lead, moving the ball around.
North Carolina with a different lineup. A lot of new people in there. Dean Smith did this the other night. Not only takes some time, but also with the atmosphere here, the altitude, giving his regulars a chance to rest.
Mike Pepper got the shot and banked it in. And Carolina again goes to a 15-point lead. Galvo gets the ball out to Neely, over to Jankovic. Not much inside for Kansas State against this big front line of North Carolina. Chris Brust is now in the game along with Butko underneath. Shot from the outside. Neely now has 10, so he's got 4 field goals in the second half.
Credit that to Galvo. That's the kind of penetration against the zone you have to have. Not all the way to the basket. Penetration that moves the defense, then gets out to the open guy who slides and gets a straight up shot.
Worthy and Wood getting set to come back in for the Tar Heels. Down low to Butko. Back to Jimmy Black, driving on Jankovic. Goes off to Butko and back out to Pepper. Carolina very patient now, as well they can be, with a 52-39 lead.
Kansas State went back man for man. I think it's a good, smart move because North Carolina was running time off with the reserves, and if you can put some pressure on, you ought to have a better chance opportunity to put pressure on reserves than the starting 5.
To go to Philadelphia in the Final Four. Second game today on NBC. Brigham Young and the great All-American Danny Ainge against Ralph Sampson and the Virginia Cavaliers. That's from Atlanta, Georgia. We have 12:51 left to play in this game. Carolina holding to a 52-39 lead.
And the second unit doing an excellent job as he picked up a foul on the baseline that time by Galvo, but doing a good job this second unit of running the time, handling the ball.
Al Wood is having a great game for Carolina, Gary. He has 13 points and he's credited with 12 rebounds.
Well, you expect that out of a super player, an All-American player, and he's just that. He performs every game out, very consistent.
Carolina always with the 5-man game. Everybody handling the ball. Down low to Perkins now. Loop it back into Perkins. Back to James Worthy. Left inside court, and a whistle blows underneath.
The foul on Galvo going over the top. The underneath official that time, that's one place where a third official really helps. He was screened out by the guy from behind. The official that was closer to us in the position could see Galvo go over the back.
North Carolina set to inbound the ball now. Jimmy Black ready to bring it in. Loop pass to Perkins.
A few times there that Perkins has put the ball on the floor, but he waited till the defensive man had retreated and gone back.
North Carolina 42-29 halftime leader, working patiently and getting the roll inside. Matt Doherty, the freshman, comes off the bench and he scored 10 points now in the game. Adams down the floor, puts it up for Kansas State. There's a whistle underneath and a foul call against North Carolina.
Fouls on 52, James Worthy.
James Worthy, only a sophomore.
Doherty's last tip in, a big one to keep this lead extended, but he really played great in that first half. 4 out of 5 from the field, 8 points, made a couple steals that just ended up in layups.
Galvo takes a shot right there for Kansas State. From Sao Paulo, Brazil, Eduardo Galvo. Recruited out of Sao Paulo. He's only been in this country for a year, married to a professional ballerina. And Wood gets the ball to Carolina. Down low to Perkins. Jimmy Black gets a free shot. Rebound down with good position to Ed Neely. Outlet pass goes to Jankovic. Fills the middle lane. Passing lanes are filled, but Carolina's back. Galvo moves to the basket. Rebound up and down. All-American guard Rolando Blackman scored. Blackman has 8, and now it is a 54-43 game against the #2 team in the country, Oregon State. Kansas State was down by 11 at this point in the game, just as they're down by 11 to North Carolina. You know the final numbers of that one. Kansas State came back to win. See what happens. We'll be back in a moment. 10 shooting. Kansas State coming up a little bit from their halftime percentage. Kansas State at the moment down by 11. North Carolina with the ball. Here's a steal by Neely. Big guy thinks wiser of it and goes to a guard. Rolando Blackman to bring it down.
Look at that big guy, Neely. He leads the club in steals with 48.
That's right. He led the team in steals this year. Very sure-handed. His coach, Jack Hartman, said he's not a great jumper and he's not real quick, but somehow he has a nose for the ball. Galvo can't get the jump shot to go, so Kansas State misses a chance to come to within 9.
And I think that time not a real good shot. It was more of a forced shot by Galvo. Need to get a good one. Kansas State seems to have freed up and is shooting the ball a little bit better now after they dropped down by 13. Oh, what a move, Don. What a move by Wood.
Slick Al Wood, senior, is now good for 15 Carolina points, and North Carolina has a 56-43 lead. Galvo tries again. He's gone cold, and he's hurt Kansas State coming down when they've had a chance to get closer. Jimmy Black loops a pass to Perkins. Out it goes to Al Wood. A beautiful, soft, high arcing shot. Al Wood has now put down 17 points for North Carolina.
He is just a picture of rhythm in this basketball game. Feet together, squared up, great release.
Galvo's going to keep working at it till he gets it right, and that might be a while. 9:50 to go. Doherty down low puts it up, but there's a foul called, and it goes against Kansas State, and Matthew Doherty will go to the free throw line.
And there you see the importance of a great little middleman. Jimmy Black coming down, changed his speed, blew by his man. The lanes filling, keep him going. You've got to fill the lanes, let the little man do the job. Didn't get the basket, but Doherty will go to the line for a couple of free throws.
Two shots.
Doherty with 2 shots, can't get the first to go. He's a 6'7" freshman from East Meadow, Long Island. That Holy Trinity to a state championship. Fractured thumb kept him out much of the early season. Really started to come on late in the season. Played great in the ACC tournament. Now he's been just superb in the NCAA tournament. Doherty has 11 points. Martin in the game goes over to Neely. Big guy throws one up. It's followed up and down by Rolando Blackman. Another whistle call. This push-off is going to go against Kansas State. Blackman with his first personal foul.
That was on Blackman, and I think that basket has to be waved off. That push had to come before he got possession because he was all by himself. Jack Hartman not believing the call, shaking his head.
North Carolina, if they do go to the bonus, as there are 17 fouls on the board here in the second half against Kansas State, so North Carolina with a tremendous advantage now. There's only 2 team fouls in Kansas or North Carolina. Kansas State a long way from the bonus.
And there was no basket on that play.
James Worthy at the free throw line for North Carolina. Doesn't get the roll, and Neely gets the rebound. Up court he comes. Fred Barton driving to the basket. Lead pass goes off to Tyrone Adams. Back out to Jankovic. To Barton. Kansas State's gone cold. Down low. Adams tries to get the ball to Neely, and there's a foul call against North Carolina.
That's certainly been a factor for Kansas State. They're shooting allowed North Carolina early in the ball game to get out and run. They've shot a team a high percentage this year. 50.3 was a school record for a season, but they have not been able to get the shot down today.
Dick Enberg, Al McGuire, and Billy Packer ready to bring you the second game today on an NBC doubleheader day, as 2 of the final 4 teams will be decided, the other 2 tomorrow. Brigham Young will be going against Virginia in the second game from Atlanta. Now Rolando Blackman has scored 10 points with that last field goal. 9:11 left to play in this game. 14-point advantage for North Carolina.
I've really been impressed with North Carolina and their ball movement. They've just moved the ball tremendously, and that's what, like right there, frees up the people for the easy baskets.
The open man is the end result of all that passing, and Carolina always seems to find him, and now they've extended their lead to 16 points. 11 points for James Worthy. Back the other way, Blackman gets another field goal, now has 12 for Kansas State. But North Carolina content to move the ball with patience. Passing game, running the clock down. down to 8:35. Neely going for a steal. Let's see what this is. Inbounds is going to come to North Carolina.
Here's the ball handling North Carolina. Pressure coming up now, but we see him bumped off right here. And then the cutaway to Kansas State right there, turning their heads on defense. And Worthy going to the basket, gets hit by Doherty. Easy 2 points.
8:33 left to go. Jack Hartman in his 11th year has had a great career both at Southern Illinois and now in 11 seasons at Kansas State, where he's had 6 teams with over 20 victories. He's been to the regional final 3 times with Kansas State.
He would have liked to have had this one. It's not over yet, but it's been the first time in the Final Four. They had a chance in 75 against Syracuse, had the game won, the last second shot that tied it, and then lost in overtime.
Been a great year for Kansas basketball, as you know, Gary. Broadcasting the Big 8 during the regular season, the Shockers of Wichita State beat Kansas last night. That had to be a sweet one for the Shockers since they don't play Kansas. I think that's the first time they've met in about 25 years. A 1-point winner at New Orleans. Wichita State goes to the Midwest final against a great LSU team. That's tomorrow on NBC. Last night in the Mid-East Regional at Bloomington, Indiana, St. Joseph's of Philadelphia again prevailed by 1 point. Yet another upset, a 3 straight upset run for St. Joe's. Tomorrow they go against a tremendous Indiana team for the championship of the Mid-East Regional and spot in the Final Four. Indiana really starting to roll. Blew out Maryland last week, did the same to Alabama, Birmingham last night. North Carolina, a team that knows the Final Four pressure so well. Moving towards a spot in Philadelphia as they go down low to Doherty. He loses the ball. Free ball is picked up by Doherty. We'll have a jump ball between Jankovic, 6 feet tall, and Matt Doherty, 6'7".
25 wins or more, 8 out of 14. That's phenomenal.
Carolina's been to the NCAA tournament the last 7 years. This guy's going to help get him there for years to come. Matt Doherty with 13 points now. And North Carolina has extended its lead to 63-47. Our Heels had to travel a long way for playoff competition, starting out at Pauley Pavilion, UCLA's home arena. Last weekend, 17 points now for Randy Reed of Kansas State with that field goal. Whistle stops play with 7:33 left to play.
I think Jankovic fouled Black going through, and I think just a little bit of frustration on the part of Jankovic that time as they're trailing here by 14 points. Just bumped him as he cut through.
Another item, Gary, that Dean Smith would like to see. He said, wouldn't mind seeing the 3-point shot coming. He said, the zone is becoming too predominant. That'll shake up the zone if you got to hit the 3-pointer. I think we'd be a long way off in college basketball.
I think it might be too. These zones, we've seen an awful lot of zones, but everybody's still geared to pack in and go for that inside shot. The other night against Utah, I think North Carolina in the last half only shot once or scored 1 basket outside of 15 feet.
Jimmy Black, another New York City player from Cardinal Hayes, hits the free throws to give Carolina 65-49 lead. 7.5 to go. In the corner of the ball goes to Jankovic, driving, feeds off. Rolando Blackman spins off. Basket goes, and Blackman was fouled. Rolando Blackman has now scored 14 points. Doherty got a second personal foul. 14 fouls in Carolina. Gary?
Here's Doherty and Jankovic. Good penetration. Draws the defense. Now gives it off to Blackman. He goes up. Gets shoved in there from behind by Doherty, number 44.
During the regular season, North Carolina was second in the ACC to Virginia. And then went on, as you know, to win the ACC tournament with a 1-point victory over Wake Forest in the semifinals and the 1-point win over Maryland in the final game at Landover, Maryland. Then way out west, Los Angeles with a 17-point win over Pittsburgh, a 5-point win the other night over favored Utah here. And now this impressive show against Kansas State. They can project North Carolina into the Final Four at Philadelphia next weekend.
Well, they got a good pick that time. Doherty picking for Perkins, and he went the backside and good lob pass.
Perkins now has 16. Dribbling violation called against North Carolina, so Kansas State gets the ball.
And you can see it in these two clubs right now. North Carolina, I think from one standpoint, feels like they've got the ball game won. And Kansas State certainly not quitting, but you can see a little less intensity there right now.
Here's Mike Pepper back in the game for the Tar Heels. Orlando Blackman looks for the baseline, pulls up. Rebound comes down to Al Wood. Has some problems getting out, so he brings it out himself on the dribble. Wood at 6'6", goes cross court to Mike Pepper. Low to Perkins. They want him going to the basket whenever the chance is there.
Watching the other night, the great things about the big kids for North Carolina is when they handle the basketball, they're able to handle it with their head and eyes up. They always see that open man, and that's the key to making plays.
We, of course, Gary, have the most valuable player award coming up, and Al Wood has to be a leading candidate with 17 points and 15 rebounds. Gets those rebounds kind of quietly a lot. Just eases inside at 6'6" with those big people.
You said before, smooth Al, and that's what happens. You don't notice a guy as graceful as he is.
Pushing foul is just called on Wood. They're going to call it on Mike Pepper. It's a second foul with 6:01 left to go. So Dean Smith and his Tar Heels looking for that ultimate prize, a national championship. Carolina last had one under Frank McGuire back in 1957. We'll be back. Carolina has a 67-52 lead.
You said before the start of the game, he looked at those percentages. North Carolina had limited opponents in the first two NCAA games of 38%. Kansas State not able to do much better.
Pete Butko came over the top, blocked the ball that Randy Reed was shooting, but also blocked Reed.
Let's look at that last play. The shot will go up from outside, and Randy Reed, who's been the big offensive explosion here for Kansas State for most of the game, comes off, big rebound. Pete Butko comes back in, gets the attempt for the block, gets called for the foul, and Randy Reed will be on the line for two.
Next Saturday, the winner of this game will go against the winner from the East Regional Final. That matchup between Virginia and Brigham Young will be coming up next here on NBC. Another doubleheader tomorrow as the Mid-East and Midwest Regional Finals are decided. Reed with 18 points, one of his big games. Excellent shooting in the first half. They've denied him the ball a lot more in the second. He was the top point producer in the first half with 15 points. Doherty starts to go low, then takes it outside. You'll see Carolina spread the floor out now, and all of a sudden, while they're running the clock down, Carolina guy will break, and they'll zing the ball inside, and they'll get a layup.
Right, we've not seen him in their four corners and backing it out, but what the thing that's key into their offense right now is just great movement of their people. They're moving without the basketball.
Boy, that Al Wood is a silk player, just smooth and lithe, weaving inside to get that roll shot at 69-54. Right back the other way with 12 points now is Ed Neely for Kansas State. 5:04 to go in the game. Butko looking low. Doherty working off the baseline. So is Worthy. Worthy takes the shot and Neely rebounds. Outlet goes to Jankovic. To Rolando Blackman, and they need his offense, but it's denied. Good play, but Blackman gets his own loose ball, puts it back up, and Rolando Blackman has now scored 17 for Kansas State.
Good second effort by the All-Americans. He winds down on what's been a great career at Kansas State.
It's an 11-point game. 69-58. Still a lot of time to go, as you see 4:27 left to play.
Crowd picking up Kansas State right now, and that could help them. They were really backing off, and you can see the kids responding. Now they're putting a little bit more defensive pressure on North Carolina.
Dean Smith directing his team to spread out. Their offense, Bill Guthridge, his top assistant, who's been with him at Carolina for 14 years as a graduate, played at Kansas State. Eddie Fogler, his other top assistant. And they have really had their team honed and ready when the big time comes.
There's the Kansas State All-American right here, Rolando Blackman. Watch him penetrate. Looked like he might have got hit from behind right there. Stays right after it. Goes back after the ball. Takes it up. Always got that explosive step right there and a little jump hook over the top. Gets 2 points.
A lot of places when the home team like Utah goes out early in the playoffs, you find the crowd dwindles, but not here in Utah, which is a tremendous basketball state. University of Utah and Brigham Young. the other night and put one in just before the final buzzer as Brigham Young advances again. Upset wins over UCLA and Notre Dame. Perkins holding the ball on the outside, starts to move on Neely. Trying to go low. Neely comes up with a loose ball. Here comes Kansas State on the run with a chance to bring it to within 9. Galvo, who's had a problem shooting, goes out to Barton.
Go back to that first possession right here now as they come down. They get the shot, but Galvo in this situation of the game, you're coming out running, he should have taken that shot. He had the good one.
First shot of the game by Freddie Barton is good, and now Carolina's big lead has been cut to 9 with 3:19 to play. Down low, there's Al Wood, and he slams it down. Back door was open, and Al Wood streaked in, and he has now scored 21 points to go with his 16 rebounds for North Carolina.
When you start to get in trouble, go to your best. That's Al Wood.
Let's start going to this Barton every time down. Put 2 up and put 2 down. Again, a 9-point lead, and we're going to get what? A pushing violation on Ed Neely. Big Ed Neely from Bonner Springs, Kansas, outside Kansas City, was recruited by 2 schools, Kansas State and Yale. The program is listed at 235. Some speculate he used to be 235. He says he is.
They asked him yesterday about that. He says the program says 235, and the writer asked him, he said, what does the scale say? Exactly what the program says. Not giving away any secrets.
Jimmy Black at the free throw line.
Black, a 78% free throw shooter, just a guy you'd like right now on that line for North Carolina. Pressure kid, extends the lead to 10.
Gets another, and it's an 11-point advantage for North Carolina. Barton fires up, rebound to Al Wood. He has 17 rebounds. And at 6'6", handles the ball like a guard, gets it to Blackhead, right for the hoop, and here's the intercept by Eduardo Galvo. 3-on-2 break on the right flank is Barton. Galvo feeds to Barton. He lost the ball.
Galvo made a great play down here defensively. Black coming in, looked one way, passed the other. Galvo gave him a head fake to go with it, then came back and made the interception. Barton a little over anxious on the other end, lost the handle, and Kansas State loses a key possession.
James Worthy looks to go to the basket as again Carolina spreads out the man-to-man defense of Kansas State. They get a lot of motion in the open area in the middle of the floor. People cutting through, flashing through.
Right, and Dean Smith up, holding up 4 fingers now, going to the 4 corners, and he now, where he's relaxed, has got a little concern.
An 11-point lead for Dean Smith and the Tar Heels with 2:11 left to play. 20th year at North Carolina. Galvo just got his 4th personal. And the game for North Carolina is James Worthy goes to the free throw line. Sam Perkins, Al Wood, Matt Doherty, Jimmy Black along with Worthy.
I remarked to Dean Smith before the ball game about Worthy, what a great passer he was. And he said, you know, if I just turned that guy loose and let him do things the way he wanted, he might make some turnovers, but he'd make a tremendous amount of great plays because he's quick and has good vision, a good passer, good ball handling for a big guy.
That's a mature-looking sophomore, James Worthy. That's a man. Here's a steal by Worthy. Watch all this. The big guy from Gastonia takes it the distance and slams it down. And Carolina opens up a 77-62 lead. And Carolina, if it wasn't decided long ago, is going to Philadelphia.
That put the lid on the basket for sure right there. James Worthy with the stuff.
And coming up next from Atlanta, Georgia, the East Regional Final. And North Carolina will be playing the winner of that. Very possibly they could be going against an ACC team that beat them twice this season, Virginia. But in both those games, Carolina had big leads over Virginia. In fact, once Carolina led Virginia by 16 points. Virginia came back to win. Let's watch James Worthy go to the basket after his steal.
Watch the quickness. Worthy anticipating ahead of time, gets it with one hand, puts it down. Watch him go up here now. Boom, one hand, drives it down through.
6'9" sophomore from Gastonia, North Carolina, 14.6 average in the season. He has 15 points here today. Matt Doherty at the free throw line, again having a good game off the bench for North Carolina, shooting for his 14th point.
see he's averaging 5.6. Night 4 last against Utah. He came off the bench, had 12, as you mentioned, shooting for 14 here. So he has really made a contribution to North Carolina's success.
Dean Smith says of Doherty, he doesn't look like a freshman. He doesn't play like one. Perkins and Doherty, they'll be the heart of Carolina teams for the next 3 years. Ball is slapped inside court. Goes back inbounds to Kansas State. North Carolina so well disciplined and coached, always looking for the advantage. Doherty started to streak down court like it was touched by a Kansas State player.
A lot of Kansas influence on this North Carolina coaching staff. Dean Smith grew up in Emporia, Kansas, and Bill Guthridge in Parson, Kansas. He played at Kansas State. Bill Guthridge did, and also was an assistant under Tex Winters.
Of course, Dean Smith was a player at the University of Kansas.
Right.
3 teams from the state of Kansas made it to the final 16 of this NCAA tournament field. One is gone, another soon will be, but Wichita State Shockers are still in it.
And battling for the state of Kansas, it looks like now 2 of those 3 teams from Kansas will leave. A good look at Jack Hartman there, a very successful coach. I know disappointed today. And on the left, Lon Kruger, a young man who played excellent basketball for Jack, and in fact was the MVP twice in the Big 8 Conference.
Jimmy Black at the free throw line, and we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
Television 7, Washington, Greenville, New Bern.
1:17 left to go, and down in North Carolina, they're getting set to make the trek to Philadelphia to follow the Tar Heels to the Spectrum, and next weekend's semifinal matchup with the winner of today's second game, Virginia and Brigham Young. Reed coming off the bench, throws up a rainbow, and Doherty comes up with the ball for North Carolina. And he's fouled.
And we're getting to recognition time now. We're going to see reserves coming off the bench, and North Carolina fans are going to be able to recognize their starters has done such a good job and take them to the Final Four.
Steve Reed, a freshman guard from Dodge City, Kansas, got the personal foul. Al Wood with 21 points and 17 rebounds, and Al Wood is our Chevrolet Most Valuable Player. $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of the University of North Carolina. Because of the great play of Al Wood. There's another guy who gave a big effort, Jimmy Black, in the backcourt.
There's all smiles when you win.
There's Jimmy Black, Al Wood, the MVP. 1:04 left to go. Rolando Blackman pulls up from 20 feet. Tapped out, picked up by Eric Kenny, who comes in the game now for North Carolina. Raddick also in, a long pass down to James Worthy.
Look, these 2 clubs are real young. You look at Kansas State, the only thing they're losing off their starting ball club is Rolando Blackman, and North Carolina losing Al Wood and Mike Pepper.
They're on the floor and warming up at the Omni in Atlanta. Brigham Young and the University of Virginia. As Al Wood has a great game, and you know how thrilled he is, and all these Tar Heels are, to go back to the Final Four once again. A 21-point game, equally impressive off the boards his whole 4 game. Al Wood, the senior forward from Gray, Georgia, who today played in his 124th game as a Tar Heel, breaking the record for the most games in the history of the basketball program there he held with Phil Ford. Now Carolina winding down. 19 seconds, 18 seconds. It's been a great year for Kansas State, but they met their match today after upsetting 3 opponents, including the number 2 team in the country, Oregon State. Eduardo Galvo takes it to the basket. But with 4 seconds left to go, it is 82-68, and North Carolina wins 3 straight NCAA tournament games impressively, upsetting Utah here on Thursday night, and now taking down the giant killer Kansas State 82-68. And Dean Smith and the Tar Heels are heading for Philadelphia and the Final Four.
CN Classic.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, one of baseball's most popular teams, have long been known for their winning tradition. Today, Greatest Sports Legends looks at one of their all-time greats, a man who powered the Dodgers to 4 National League pennants. His name, Steve Garvey. batter here in the bottom of the ninth. And here's the pitch. A long drive to deep left field. It's out of here. Home. When Steve Garvey joined the Dodgers in 1970, Los Angeles fans soon found out number 6 was a winner. Garvey not only became one of baseball's most feared hitters, he also became a Gold Glove first baseman. And that's not all. Steve Garvey proved to be one of the nicest, most courteous men in sports, a man whose clean image gave baseball a better name. 2 men on with 2 outs. The pitch. This ball's hit deep down the left field line. Home run, Steve Garvey. At the LaCosta